some music or something in the background. On to it. Same thing as usual.
It's just funny to get on it sometimes. A lot of people too started trying to do kick now or whatever what is it called?
That kicks another one.
Is that the one I have? Kick?
I think you have Twitch.
Twitch. Oh my god, one of them. What is kick?
Kick's another one.
I feel so old, but like I was there when that was.
It's adorable.
Don't tell me about
See the family movie of the summer.
That's MySpace, bro. Hey, Queen J Blue, how you doing? First, that's what I'm talking about. I get this barber trim up here and yell about Iran. You know what I'm saying, guys? Oh, shit. Look at this shit. I fucking ripped one earlier and it was like, don't worry about it. I got it like A-Rap dispenser. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be shit that's not fucking. Like, yeah, it's pure GA. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, they're like, don't worry about it, you know. Oh, it smells like weed, but I fucking ripped it and I was like, I'm stoned as fuck. Yeah, it's called Good Meat. You gotta up your quality. I'll do Pepsi Challenge. Yeah, well, the orange hair is fucking Pepsi. Yeah, of course it's got what the fuck. Get it from me, though. What? Got the money?
Yeah.
As long as it's like fake money, it doesn't matter.
It is, and I laminated it, and they said can't be fake, so they looked.
What do you mean? You can go buy like stacks of fucking.
Like Barbie can have her own. That's what I did. That's how it started.
You can go buy like.
That's literally how it started.
You know.
I started like this, and then when I on the back, put on my head. These are these here.
We got fucking.
Get those.
You can just buy these. This is fucking money for fucking. I got stacks of them.
The material is good. I can buy it from China.
Yeah, mine are the exact same as what they use on the dollar bill, except they have like not legal tender on the top. It's just like for fucking use only or some shit.
Mine is the actual dollar.
Yeah, this is like improp we trust.
There's no back, so I just don't understand how would they would think it's counterfeit. Like,
Yeah, it's they're not.
There's a whole ass different.
Yeah, they're just fucking worried about shit they shouldn't be worried about.
Right? I mean, I had to go all the way down here to figure out what shit.
Alright, let's do this.
It's 3 o'clock.
I'm on a schedule today.
I don't like hearing no.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you no. No. Can't have this pain. Pain special. Not the peen, bro. Peen. Penis. Penis. Like, no, you can't have this peen. She's like, what is the pletus?
I never.
I never heard of no pletuses before. Where they got pletuses at?
Is that what they taught you in doctor?
Yeah, that's what they call it. That's a pletus. I'm Pletus the Fifth. I got this fucking. I'm going out of town to this fucking thing this weekend.
That's the smoke shop. But we're not gonna put down here because it didn't pay us.
Yeah, it pay us. Fuck 'em.
They're gonna
No fucking free free promotions for
This
this.
is the lighter I got at the smoke shop.
Yeah, I'll thank you.
It's the barcode. Wanna know how much?
With Asana, AI
Mm-hmm.
teammates can pull real-time data and help keep work on track. So every team can
Yeah,
work
this
smarter
place, they go in the
together.
back and they bring the flour out. So I'm pretty sure they fucking do something under the table.
Try for free
Nah,
trial
he's actually a
at
nice guy.
asana.com.
No, I'm
I feel like he's very straight edge.
I'll talk about where I get my shit from.
Oh,
They're like some Arabs, like, oh, you want the good stuff or you want the real good stuff? I'm like, you already know. You know I ain't no cop. Yeah, man, they don't pay. They might. I might go in there and ask if they want to sponsor me. You know.
Give you some honey buns.
$20, bro.
Yeah,
How about some honey buns? I'm just kidding.
that'd be cool.
She's just not even catching none of these great one-liners up here.
Maybe I'm just catching.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I'm playing like horror mode only. It's in a problem. It's been real bad. Like I like went out and just like for whatever reason I was like on having an on gay, like you know what I'm saying? And then like ever since then I haven't been able to turn it off. Yeah. She didn't work well. She ready to fight. She gonna make me look real good for this weekend. I'm looking a little rough. We're gonna go to Houston. My friend Becca is having a big 4th of July thing, and then we're gonna do a concert the next day. But they're all like my friends I've known since like 3rd grade.
Where are you going for the concert?
I think it's
Or have we seen it?
Roderick Baker and Kevin Fowler,
Stevenson.
the two biggest Texas country artists that ever come out of Texas that are like not George Strait. They're like specifically Texas country. We're not going Texas. You would know some of their songs. You probably heard one of them. You know that song Rancho Grande? I have a Rancho Grande. Yeah.
I don't really listen to country and I don't really listen to the radio.
I
I'm boring. Even
fucking Mexican poncho right here, but what are you talking about? So a lot of things. She hates her culture. She's gonna be like deport. Listen, next time other teammate gives me some attitude,
my
bro.
favorite song is The Sound of Money Coming.
Listen, you give me too much attitude, deport me.
Talk shit in that area because like I'm like my great grandmother. I don't know if it's the right or wrong way, but she married into the U.S. My great grandfather was U.S. Army.
My dad's like illegal.
So I'm like 4 generations. Because they were talking about something you can't be born here in the U.S. Some stupid shit.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to change.
I'm like, you know
That's
what?
not gonna survive.
I'm gonna do this one out.
They're not gonna be. But you like 4th gen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, damn, how far?
You're gonna be fine. I mean, they're talking about people like who'd be like me. If I was like, since I'm born here and my dad's not, they'd be like, he gotta go. But my mom was born here, so.
I don't know, but
There's people like so what was happening for a while there. People were like coming here, and they were like from other countries. They would come here on vacation, like 9 months pregnant. No, yeah. They'd have the baby here, and then the baby would get citizenship, and they'd go back to the country, and then the kid would be allowed back into the country when they like are old enough.
yeah.
And then they'd be like, "Oh, well, my parents didn't have to come now because I can't be on my own." So like a loophole shit.
That
Yeah, that's what they're like trying to get rid of. But like if you read the TikToks, they're like, you know, they're over here making stuff. Like the other night, this girl sent me a TikTok, and she's like, "Look, Trump's talking about the slaves." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like saying, "Oh yeah, he's talking about farm owners." He's like, and then he goes, "The owners." And he's like, "See, he's gonna put him in slavery." I'm like, "Well, why don't you listen to the rest of the sentence?" And like the TikTok just kept saying owners like 4 times, trying to like say he's doing slaves. But like in actually what he's doing, he's saying he's gonna do an invitation system. So like illegals that were working for farm owners, the farm owners can like vouch for them, and then those people can like become citizens. And he like, but instead this person's like on the TikTok going, "Look, it's the slavery, bro." I'm like, bro, I gotta stop getting your info from TikTok. Don't watch TikTok for your politics.
yeah, why do you read newspaper? It's more accurate. You're wrong, but look at the ground under the newspaper.
Yeah, I don't know. These people be wild. Wild. It's Justini. Hold on one second. With a fucking raid of 30, bro. God damn. I don't know if you ever seen Justini, but she is a bad bitch. We like Justini around here. She's a good egg. Apparently that channel doesn't exist. Let's try it out again. It's more like they ran, right? Woo! Teeny, we're getting our haircut inside. Yeah, that's a good one, right?
Yeah. More likely.
Man, they don't want none of these hands, bro.
No, I want to go watch the movie with my husband.
Yeah, but what was that guy Jimmy Carr? He was saying, yeah, there's girls like saying they're like, which country's more spicy, the UK or Britain? He's like, I don't know if you've been around lately, but yeah, she probably can do your hair. Come on down, Teeny. We'll get you a haircut. And he goes, yeah, there's you might have heard of Donald Trump, who's the guy on The Apprentice. He's got a new TV show. It's called The News. I was like, ah. Alright, I love you too, Teeny. You have fun being a DJ and drink for me. I'm gonna be dressed like America drinking for you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I'll definitely call you and do a shot. Be like, hey, we're doing shots right now, Teeny. I'm about to get a nice fade, boys. We're gonna get the fade up on the sides.
Did you smell my water?
I can't smell shit.
You have COVID? You brought me here to kill me?
Yeah, basically. No, I'm fucking. All I can smell is weed.
I was thinking about you today. I was like, man, I'm gonna pick some hair. What have you been doing this whole time?
Well, I've been on
I
this.
hope you didn't cheat on me.
Oh, I would never cheat on you then. Unless I needed to.
I'm just going to just send me a answer. I'll text you.
Oh yeah, I like.
But you usually text me like we usually like think about each other at the right time. So I'm
Yeah, this one worked out real good. I was like, if you'd said no today, I was definitely gonna go find somebody to cut me today. But I was like, bro, I can't go around my like friends from like high school and not be like baited up and shit. These people are all like rich and like very judgmental. And you know, we got to go in there and be looking good.
I don't even know if my high school reunion happened, but I'm ready.
No, I mean these are like my oldest friends, like some of my oldest friends right now. I like get to see them like once, twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you do, it's like, yeah, we gotta look good, you know, hit them with the old bamboozle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't be going in there looking like a scrub.
I don't want no scrubs.
Yeah, nobody wants no scrub. Yeah, Graham, how you doing today, Graham? You doing all right? Well, I don't know how to keep the hype going into this fucking other show now. We got fucking 40 plus viewers fucking 10 minutes in. God damn. That's pretty good. What is this shit? Blueberry you got over here? It's like a blueberry.
This one. We're not telling you to buy it.
Exotic jelly flower resin. Pokeball punch.
It has rosin in the middle, flour in there.
This is gonna make me real paranoid. That's good. Yeah. All right, Kid, you be good. Thanks for popping in with Teeny and them. Appreciate it. The rest of y'all, happy to be here. Woo!
You'll be charged, happy, and uplifted, and the effects will be deeply creative.
Steve has made me paranoid, but
I know, right? I didn't even read it. I was just like, oh, I love those. That I usually get like hybrids because I can't. I have to have a little bit of everything. I have to have a balance.
yeah, I like. I mainly smoke for the body pain
True.
because I got a lot of fucking injuries. So I'm like, sure.
Give me your strength.
Yeah, I'm trying to just like mellow out most of the time, but this will be fine. I'm about to do a debate panel, so. Like, is this guy talking shit?
Are you creative right now?
I got some hands for him, bro. No, I'm fucking supposed to like moderated, so they won't be talking shit to me. Actually, one of the guys, first time we ever interacted, he like came at me like real hard, like 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and I usually let the first one go, right? And then he did the second one, and I was like, all right. And so when he said something the third time, I fucking like cooked him hard, like with like 3 jokes back to back. And afterwards, he was like, "Oh, my bad. I feel like I came at you, and I didn't realize you were just like not being a dick." And then whenever, because you kind of have a rep, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He said, but then after he cooked me, I realized you were like holding back, not being a dick, and then like, my bad. And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's no problem. It was good content. How you doing, Sky? How you doing, Thorn?" Oh, I did do one thing. I did have to. I'm gonna need you to fix my ears because I fucked them up when I was shaving them. You got the old man ears. I went out and it was just like real bad. They were like I had like old man hair popping off. I looked like I had extra ears. They were just like pushing out the ear. Wow, bro, it was terrible. That's really the only aging thing I hate right now is the old man ear hair. Thank God it's not in the ears. It's just like
I've seen those. I've seen people up to like this, and like I've seen all kinds of like. And I'm like, bro,
that's the worst.
can we just wax that?
Oh yeah, I've tried that, but even then it goes quick.
No, but when it's all like in the ear, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, I would just be wax that shit for sure.
yeah. They're like, no, just use the trimmer. I'm like,
Little Marvel rivals, huh? What's you up to, Sky? Are you streaming today, Sky? Who's this emote badge like she's got on her name? Not streaming. You just taking all week off, huh? Living the dream over here, bro. Oh yeah, he coming. He came. Oh, he's coming this early. I thought he was coming like middle of the month. That's cool, bro. This guy was telling me he wanted to call in from the airport for the show tonight, and I'm like, nah, that's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't have people calling in from the airport. Not while I'm doing like a serious show. And then you know that girl Crystal? She was like, She was like, oh, I want to start some kind of podcast. I want to build a studio in my house.
wait, is Crystal the one from a long time ago? She would be in a circle?
The really really hot bitch. That's like was like hanging out with like Mark Patrick and them. Yeah, this bitch.
I knew a Crystal, but when he said that, I was like, oh wait, that was her name. But I don't know if it was the same Crystal.
Yeah, she wants to build a studio. She's like super rich. Like she's talking about like doing the whole shebang. I'm like, oh really?
That's pretty bad.
This bitch, you know this bitch?
No.
But yeah, I was like, so yeah, she's talking about coming in and like sitting in, and I was like, yeah, that's fine, but I can't have this guy calling in from fucking an airport, like being on the show. Like, no offense, that's gonna be a no from me, dog. you know.
Tell me that. Okay. Business for real.
Ouch. But yeah, she's talking about building a studio and shit, and I'm like, but she's like, oh yeah. So okay, this is what she tells me. So yesterday, Destiny sends me a message, and she goes, AMP is in San Antonio all month, which is like Kai Cenat and them. You know Kai Cenat?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess they're like doing stuff with like Tony Parker and shit. And I'm like, well, bro, in my head, I'm like, bro, I know every club owner in the city. Like, I feel like, right? Like,
Was he here in San Antonio?
he's gonna be here for the next month.
What the fuck? Okay, so because when I auditioned, someone was like, I think that was at the party we were at.
Yeah. So basically, I'm like, okay. Bro, I know like every you know I mean, but same with you. We know all the people.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I'm not gonna make sure I put myself somewhere where Kai's
Someone's
at.
gonna be, yeah.
Yeah, Kai is at some point this month. And like it's too good of a network thing. I'm gonna be the new Deltonas guy on it, bro. He's gonna come find me and raid me now. So they're gonna be the plan. Gibb's gonna go in there and hit him with the old bamboozle. Yeah, but long story short, I'm talking to Destiny. She says that, and then I'm talking to Crystal, and Crystal was like, oh yeah, remember I called you the night? I'm like, yeah, yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute, you called me after leaving, Pretty Ricky and Mexican OT. You're like, yeah, they were boring, and I'm like, well, you were like at that like whatever house they were at. Like, why would you leave and go home, and then call my ass when you're with like celebrities? She's like, oh, I'm with celebrities all the time. I'm like, oh really? Must be nice. Maybe reach out your hand to me and take me to meet a celebrity. You know,
Especially if you're bored.
like, hey, if you're bored, she's like, I didn't say that because I'm not that thirsty for the fucking, I'm not really that big of a clout chaser. But I just started laughing in my head, thinking it. I'm like, oh yeah. When you have it like that, you just, it's nothing to you, I guess.
You want to hear a funny celebrity story?
Sure, let's hear it.
FOMO?
FOMOB?
FOMO.
No, I don't know what FOMOB is.
I guess he's like that Texas rapper. And like, I saw him at Miss, like maybe like a few days ago. And I was passing out my blue hundreds, right, for haircuts. And I was like, oh, like, you just have something to show you. Like, I don't really care if you get a haircut or not, but it was just like, I don't know. I don't know. Something was going to happen, right? Hopefully something happens. Not knowing or not thinking that this bull was going to reject me.
Damn.
I was like, did he just tell me no? Like, look,
Damn, that's hilarious.
I was like, yo, look, just I'm a barber. This is what I'm doing. What do you think? And he's like, I have a barber. And I was like, okay, but I didn't ask, but like, tell your barber to pull up. Like, and he's like, nah. And he just walked away.
Rejected.
I was like, what?
That's hilarious. I mean, you gotta shoot your shot.
Well, yeah, I did, but then like went to the other dude's section, and like the promoter was like, hey, football was good. You can come to my section. My girl will take care of you. And I was like, what? And he went, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Damn, that's tough too.
Not when I get rejected, but
they took your friends.
No, not even my friends. They were my friends. It was just weird, like hearing like another dude saying, my chick will take care of me, and this other man was like, sure. That's kind of weird. I was like, you know what? That was mad. I was like, this is mad. But like a little bit. I was the only one that saw you come into the club. Noticed you. Yeah.
I told him, listen, my beard is about to get cleaned up, Majin. And secondly, Majin, I don't want to hear about nothing from you, Papa. You ain't getting no barber treatment in time. I ain't seen no cleaned up Majin except for like one time. And you always go baby face, and then you grow it back out. This guy looking like the great value Samoa werewolf, bro.
What?
Yeah. Like, he's the Samoa werewolf if it had mange. Yeah, he said true. Somebody clipped that. He said true right after I said the mange thing. He didn't know that there's a delay. Perfect timing. Got him. Got him, bro. That 30-second delay got Majin real bad right there on that one. He said true literally as I finished saying it on my screen. You're going to see it on the replay. That's hilarious.
Are you trimming your beard?
Not really. Yeah, I'm just hiding. I'm not trying to have the neck beard. Every once in a while, I'll like cut the stash so it's not over my fucking lip. No one trying to make out with somebody with the fucking... Yeah, with the fucking hair lip. That's not good. Yes. That's funny. All right, we hitting the balls. Let's listen, Papa. Gibbs is ready for that. Damn, HB are coming in spicy today, bro. Coming in spicy. Talking smack. Oh, Majin, you'll get a load of this. Your favorite person, Kel, broke Modi today. Put him in a spiral. It's pretty funny. She broke him. Yeah, it feels good. But I tell you what, there's almost nothing better feeling than after you get a bar like your haircut. I'll tell you that. That's you feel so much cleaner. I broke it. My hair is too coarse.
It's
Too strong of hair, bro. I read somewhere that like hair is the same tensile strength as copper, like men's beard hair. Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy work. I don't know why you wouldn't grow a bigger beard, like if you were in the UFC and shit. Like, I would be the first thing I would do. I would have like the most woolly mammoth fucking beard of all time. Like, that's gotta pad the hits.
there's no rules against like having beards.
No. Like, how would they be able to do that? Some of these, like, these guys are Muslim, you can't cut your beard. Well, I guess. Like, then you get religious discrimination lawsuits and shit.
It's dirty. Which is it?
I mean, unfair advantages, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it looks so much better without the fucking sides, bro.
You ever feel like I just got a haircut and I gotta go and pregnant the world?
Yeah, that's how I feel every time. I'm like, who is ready to get fucked tonight?
Who will celebrate Mother's Day this year?
I'm like, come on. Oh, you don't have a child? Ready to?
Right. You're supposed to.
Or then if they've had one, bitch, I heard you had a baby. You want a new boy in you?
Damn. I always encourage my clients to go out after a really good haircut.
Mm-hmm.
No. You have to. It's virtual.
Yeah, yeah. I was just singing that song. I got a fake ID though. No, I remember like in high school, we had those fucking like the portable CD players, and you'd be like walking and it would skip.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was. I had that song like burned on it, like in the thing from like LimeWire. And someone said something today, and it was a meme, and it was like, "Oh yeah, if you remember LimeWire, your knees are creaking." I was like, "That is true." Yeah, bro. So this is really funny. You remember like dial-up internet?
Yes. I forget.
I saw a commercial. $3.99 unlimited internet from Net Zero for dial-up internet. This is like a week ago. I saw this commercial. I was like, bro, for $3.99, and if you're not on the internet that much, that's a pretty goddamn good deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I for dial-up, bro. Bro, I remember when we only had dial-up. It was expensive as fuck. Now it's like $3. I mean, I'm sure it's slow as fuck, but if you have but I remember like you'd be like trying to download a movie and you would like pick them all on Tuesday so you could have them by like the weekend to watch.
Yeah.
It took so fucking long.
Grandfather had it. Mom didn't give a fuck. Mom, like, grandfather was over there. So lazy. And then if I see that what building, please. He'd be like, who got on the phone? The little QR code. They're making me QR codes right now, like little stickers.
Who gave you this? I'll check that out. See, I knew I wasn't the only one doing that. I have the fucking QR code on my thing.
That's the next business move. I mean, it was always, but like, I think people are starting to catch on to it.
Now they also have the ones where you can just like tap it, like tap your phone to it. That gives them all their shit.
Oh yeah, I like those. I don't know how to do it. Is it an app or what?
I don't know. It's too beyond me. Also, I don't like people tapping my phone with shit. Like,
Sure,
what are you putting on there, bro?
I know everybody was asking me like, "What's the QR code?" I'm like, "Just scan it. It's my info." Like, you're already asking for Instagram. Just scan it.
Yeah, and that's why you give them the card. You can go scan it at your own leisure.
Yeah.
I don't need you to scan it in front of me.
I'm not here to play games. There's not too many willing.
Yeah, so refreshing my lesbian haircut testing. Except them bulldogs, they wish they could look like this. Them butches. They can't pull this off like I can. They don't got as luscious hair. Gotta be looking good for my All-America outfit on 4th of July, bro. I even have American flag light up shoes. Amazon. Amazon's the best. Yeah, probably made in China. That's neither here nor there, bro. I got them before the tariffs. But people said it was gonna make shit more expensive. It made it way cheaper, bro. I fucking got fucking a fucking Rolex for like $5K cheaper the other day. And then I went to go get a fake one to match it because you don't want to wear the real one out. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to have it, but I want to have the matching fake one. And it was like $40, and usually they're like about $300. I was like, ho, buddy. Then I was like, oh, we get some Jordans, bro. Jordans, fucking like $8. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, that means they're hurting quite a bit by doing that. Also, what would China have to do with Switzerland, bro? Like you know what I'm saying? Cheap haircuts. Yeah, I don't know when last time I got a cheap haircut was. I brought one time in Houston. I went to a place. It was like $3.99 haircuts, and I like went in there, and the guy was just basically putting a bowl on people's head, or like shaving a bald. But he had like 50 kids in there. Our barbers supposed to be a therapy session for men, especially for the only black barber shops. Our barber shop's supposed to be therapy sessions for men. You're supposed to like discuss your problems. Or is that only black barber shops?
It's not supposed to be. It's
like a gathering place.
It's a hairstyle.
Well, some of them like people go and hang out at the barber shop. You go with your boys, you all get to
You can build an atmosphere like that, but it's not supposed to. You know what I mean? Like word choice wise, it's supposed to just like we are the cheapest service you can afford, or like if you want to put in that sense, yeah, because we listen most of the time. We're not really, you know what I mean? Well, it's not our job to give you advice. Because I give you the wrong advice and you go do what I said, I just ruined your whole life, and now you get mad at me and I lose money. So
I mean, aren't you Latina? And then your whole goal to ruin people's lives.
Yeah. Only if it's my lover.
Oh, I see. You're supposed to yes queen him. That's what they're doing.
Like we make you feel good and like image. Like there's really not much we can do. Again. You just cut hair. Think about it.
I like to play with the fire, Testy. I like to make it mad when I have the blade close to my neck. You know what I'm saying? There's no danger, bro. What are you talking about?
Nope. Cut him with the dual blade.
Yeah, it's boring, Testy. You gotta get some excitement. I feel a lot better there.
You feel lighter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got about 15 minutes to spare so far. You're doing good. You're blazing good. You're raging. You move the chair. See, tell me these things and all these other chairs behind it.
Yeah, I was gonna move it before I started cutting here, but I just. So I'm gonna take up some of your space here.
Oh, it'll be fine. How been the events going?
Pretty good. I did that Wet and Wild one. Well, it wasn't my event, but I got to DJ half of it for the artist. It was my first like set like that where I played their music and they performed. So my first concert of the music, right? That's how it would be said.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I actually liked it, to be honest. A bit more than just doing regular DJs. stuff.
Right.
Because it's not mixed. It's like I don't know any of the songs. Some of them I did know, but I didn't really know them. So like mixing them was like almost like on the spot. And I was wow. Yeah, that's what I
This guy, for fuck's sake, he's like, oh yeah, I want to call in from the airport still. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Like Testy. It's all his fault over here, bro. Mm-hmm. He's encouraging his bad behavior. Oh, yeah, now I'm feeling lighter. You know what I'm saying?
But anyway, I never thought that I was gonna be doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to this minute yet, but this part. I've enjoyed every second, every day of it, every time of it, because I met a lot of cool people, I met a lot of bad people, and I learned a lot from other people. And make benefits to every day. It's cool, funny, it's not that bad, but I mean, not everything's gay, you know, like, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. Always a new experience.
You do better next time. Or don't do it again.
Let's see something. There we go. Now you'll get the full experience. Don't worry about it, Testy. Don't worry about it. But you know what you should do? Press exclamation point barber. You should do that in the chat for me. Yeah, there you go. Now you got a link tree up. Go follow her, and then you can book your own haircut with any style.
And the events I have coming up too. Like this month, July, I'm doing free haircuts. So you have a chance
Nah,
to do
she's
it.
still getting paid. Don't worry. Don't worry, Testy. We pay our people around here. I'm gonna let you negotiate your own deal with her. That's a better capitalism thing, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how that works. You gotta make your own deals.
How much time do you want me to spend on you and nobody else?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There you go. See, Testy's gonna write you 100 plus tip, bro. And not the kind of tip you like to give out, Testy. That was really funny. They just hold on real quick. Ah!
Oh my gosh.
It was like a head squeeze. I was like, she in the zone.
Oh, sorry. Why was squeezing your head?
Yeah, it was just like funny because it was like super hard. I was like, oh, the temple was like felt like a walnut for a second there.
Sorry. Well, it's because it wouldn't fade. I was like, why is it not fading? It's pissing me off.
Getting the rage going. I was like, oh
Yeah.
no.
Sorry.
Some people pay for that, you know.
It wasn't you, I swear. It was the fucking thing. If I got it though, bro, I was like, dude, like how hard? Like, what are you taking? Are you taking vitamins or something?
I felt like now I know how pimples feel like, though.
That's what fucking does. Shave the cheeks. I was on my way to go to work today for a little bit, and I almost died.
I feel like the last like 2 times I've been driving, people have just like hard stopped in front of me, or like try to like cut 3 lanes of traffic. I'm like, bro,
Wait your turn.
yeah, like I got a grill guard. Who do you think's gonna win this battle? I mean, neither of us, but you especially. If like you know what I'm saying? Like that's a bad plan.
I don't know what the hell this car was doing, but it was me, a car in front of me, and then the car in front of that car, right? And I don't know if he was trying to get off or on, or if he hesitated, I don't know what, but he ended up hitting that little middle part that separates it. Boom, hits it, and it keeps going, hits the wall again, it keeps going, it goes to the grass and hits that other wall. It hit like 3 walls. And I'm surprised the car in front of me that was behind that one didn't get hit. And I would have got hit. I would not be here telling you this crazy story.
That is crazy.
That was pretty bad. He was okay. I didn't stop because I had to go to work. But, he was fine. I saw him moving around.
I wouldn't stop. I got shit to do. Unless like, you know, it was real bad or something.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Let me make sure it's not that bad. Alright, he's fine. And then, like, 3 other cars stopped, so I was like, he's fine. Respect. I really wouldn't.
You know, like yeah, or if it's like late night, I'm just like, it's like they're by themselves or something. You know,
Yeah.
But like if it's like 50,000 cars going by. Anybody got time for that, bro?
My boss would have been like, oh, you have to start your job in 2 weeks then. Because you have to look for a new one. Obviously, work wasn't occurring. How jobs be, right?
Bro, they really do be like that. Sometimes you get lucky and have a cool boss. I haven't never had one of those. But I have friends like, oh, my boss let me do this. I was like, bro, what? I mean, I'm pretty cool if people like just tell me what's going on. I don't give a shit. You know, like as long as you meet your quotas and fucking
Don't fuck off.
don't fuck off. I don't give a fuck what you do. Like, you only want to work 3 hours that day? Well, cool. Well, make sure you get enough sales. Cool. Dude, I don't care. You know, that's why you want salary. Oh, you got to put 100-hour weekend to get the number. All right, that's cool too. But you know, just hit the quota. I don't care. You know, like
Honestly, literally, just fucking make your money and behave.
you know, and then the other job, the other company I have, the leather company, I'm so fucking backed up. I'm like, you know, you just work at your own pace because they're paying us a fuck ton. They already know they're on a waiting list. So you can't come in tomorrow? Cool, we'll charge them double. like, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck them. They were too rich anyway.
Honestly.
I know, right? Must be nice, bro. I want to be rich to where I can just like have dick off money, bro. Like, even when I go out and I spend money, I'd be thinking about it later. Like, some of these guys are like, oh, I just spent 2 racks. I'm like, oh, it must be like, I spent like $200. And I'm like, oh no, we spent too much money, even though like it's not really gonna affect me, you know. But like still,
Yeah.
oh my yacht this weekend. What? We had to pay the chef a $500 tip this weekend. Oh, okay. You had a chef on the yacht? You have a yacht? How do I get one of them?
Bro, I would not buy a boat though.
I got a John boat, you know. It's a piece of two by fours, a fucking onboard motor I stole. Yes. Destiny always been trying to tell me my hair greasy. I'm like, nah, bitch, my hair ain't greasy. We wash that shit. I know, it used to. I mean, it's only been like twice. It's probably because I'm not as loud as usual since I'm like right next to my head. I just got some kind of sensor.
Get to like what be talking in a certain pitch or.
I don't. I think it's like. I think it's probably got to be like open. And I think it's probably got like uh in the waiting room. All right, cool. And then like it's probably it's like from like the loudness. I think those are my thoughts. Because sometimes it'll do it like if I put it down and like I go do something that have like a movie on, it'll keep playing. But it's usually I have it like wrapped around something to charge, kind of thing. What are we doing now? The layering. What is this? Just the ripping out the. Oh,
What was
nice.
And then cut it to like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Just have to read that.
Alright, they'll wait.
The length, do you like it, or you want kind of shorter, or just
No, length is fine.
just do the bottom?
Yeah, just do the bottom and I guess the beard. Length's fine. Maybe next time we'll cut it, but not now. These fuckers can get Viking Gibbs. The Viking look is a good look for a fat guy. You know what I'm saying? We gotta fucking play to our skills, make ourselves look slimmer. These are things we gotta think about, you know. Well, I'm not bringing this guy in if he's fucking calling in from a phone. I hope he realizes that.
Or did she send this here?
Hey, 1 second, guys. I'm gonna move y'all in like 5 minutes here. She's just finishing my beard here, and then we'll be good to go.
Alright. I'm just gonna chill here.
It's supposed to rain tonight at some point. How to get a fucking hat. So my homegirl Emily Charlie, she's got like a 400 view average, right? And she was like, "Yeah, I made 50 cents last fucking stream on ads." It was like an 8-hour stream. And I'm like, I did an 8-hour stream. I made $15 on ads. I'm like, how, with my 40 viewer average, do I have better ad revenue? And she's like, I think it's because I took a fucking like nudity strike, like not a nudity strike, but like not nudity, but like a like they gave her like a tag for like sexual content. I guess she had her boobs out, but not like it's like a low cut shirt. I'm like, that's bullshit. They're like, nope, you're a woman with big boobs. You can't have no ads, no revenue for you. I'm also paraphrasing quite a bit. Those weren't her exact words, but yeah, basically that was the gist of it. Like, they hoed her. Yeah, that's fine. Just need the neck with the lower the beard. We're good. Tell you what, I feel like I look way younger after it. That's a thing. Like, not having a haircut.
Why you just this way?
Well,
You want this?
yeah.
Almost done, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Should put makeup on me. But we already done that shit. That's the. I really went on a debate. Had them do put makeup on me while I was debating it.
You done that?
Yeah, it was like 3 hours stream of like the makeup was like bad, and so I had Destiny like giving me like full on makeup while I was like debating.
Like the female makeup or
Yeah, like female makeup.
like that?
And so like yeah, you get the lip gloss shit out. It was fucking hilarious. And so like I'm sitting here like as we're talking, and then like at the end, I still have like 2 hours left in the debate, so I just had this like full on fucking drag makeup on. I'm like, listen here, motherfucker. I'm full on makeup, and I'm still twice the man you are. You bring me back, bitch. I'll bend you over the table, and I'll show you what for. You know, it was fucking hilarious.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I was like, this is just like war paint.
Yeah. Don't make it weird, man. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, no, he was. Oop. Yeah. I'm glowing. Yeah, he is. That was Tiberius. If you were hearing background noise, I muted him, so I couldn't hear it. But yeah, Boy was very stark on the Sockdem before, and that's where the dishonesty part irked me, because I could tell he was so
of like basic. Like I've had libertarian friends tell me that we don't need driver's licenses. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, you
that
lost
stuff
me
is
there.
dumb. And that's why I don't own the libertarian labels, because there are things and structures that I agree with, like public roads, and I think driver's licenses are necessary for a public road system. And I think they're the best argument for a public road system is if we didn't have a public road system, then there would be no enforcement of driver's licenses, and now you're kind of, I mean, how serious do you take the NAP if the government has no job to enforce it in the sense of you're just throwing absolute monkeys who don't know how to drive on the road to hurt me, you know? But yeah. Yeah, and I believe in government intervention, and I support government intervention where it protects the four pillars of a free market, right? Because you actually need the government for a free market, because strong antitrust is a pillar of a free market. So the free market demands a government, you know? So I believe in government intervention to break up monopolies and oligopolies and to enforce, anti-competition laws. I believe in the government's facilitation of better information. Like, I really liked Trump's pitch when he was running of an American Academy, like a free online school for everybody. Because perfect information is another pillar of a free market. I don't believe in making college free, but I like public sources of information. I like libraries. I like knowing that anyone in America generally can go to a library and access the internet for free. Like that, I'm supportive of. I think it's necessary for them to make educated purchasing decisions. Yeah, sorry.
Average debate enjoyer, Tyler. I'm right about everything as always. Come on, people. We've been doing this for a minute now. Oh, I'm trying to figure out why my camera's fucking up. USB device not connected. Computer malfunction. Does not recognize it. I gotta replug it. We're at the end of it now. Israel's pretty much won. Western hegemony wins again, and next time, don't fuck around and find out by funding 6 of your proxies to attack a state that is vastly technologically superior.
Yep, I'm Jeb10. I don't really have a stream, but I'm Jeb10 RIP on Twitter. I supported the bombing of Iran, but I did not support the bombing of Iran without congressional approval. I think that the U.S. does have a charge to, take care of countries that are, imminent threats to our allies and maybe even to non-ally countries around them if they reach a sufficient level of danger. But obviously that presents a level of vaguity that is not, I don't believe the executive can handle on its own, and so that's why I believe in the check that is congressional approval for military strikes. So I don't approve of the way Trump did it, even though Iran is one of the more obvious cases of you might want to hit their nuclear facilities. I think you still should have gotten congressional approval, because if we're going to have any standard for intervention in the future, you need to have checks on that power, and we have one, and it just gets ignored by every president, and it's super fucking annoying and cringe.
Hey,
and
Twitch.tv.
Tiberius is ready too. Sorry, Tiberius said you can pull him in. Okay. Sure. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, twitch.tv/non_smoker, host of the struggle session out of WUSB Stony Brook every other week, 7 to 10 p.m. on Tuesdays. So my thoughts are this. I opposed U.S. involvement in Iran, or the Iran-Israel war, period. I thought it was a mistake. I thought it would be problematic. I thought it would rope us into a major conflict. I still feel that way, and I say that, which also kind of suggests that I don't think that the conflict is actually over. I think that we are at a kind of a standstill. This ceasefire is something that I don't think will hold for very long, and that's because ultimately, if we look at the honest motives of all the parties involved here, Israel wants this conflict. It wants to take out Iran for good because it wants to expand into the state of Greater Israel, spanning from the Nile River to the Euphrates. And in order to do that and maintain a foothold in the region, they have to take out the only adversarial power left, which is, of course, Iran. I think the United States of America under the Trump administration is sort of complicit in that. They're willing to support Israel every step of the way, even if it means putting boots on the ground. And I think the Iranians, quite honestly, wouldn't mind a war either. They know that boots on the ground means potential encirclement, cutting off of supply lines, and roping the U.S. into a catastrophic war, which they have no chance of really winning. So, yeah, I think America getting involved, period, is a bad thing. I think interventionism is bad in general. I think it's led to way more harm than good. I think there's mountains of evidence for that. I'm curious to hear, as usual, anyone defend it.
Is this better?
Yes.
Gibbs, whenever I write you in people's chats, you don't acknowledge me anymore. It makes me very sad. So stop. To be fair, I usually just say mean things about you, so I understand, but still, it's rude. Exactly. I'll set up. Do you want me to say something for your intro before I set up my camera? Yeah. I don't support attacking Iran, didn't support Israel doing it. I definitely don't support America doing what they always do and just following the rabid dog that it is Israel, attacking everything for for not good reasons. Let's just say that. Yeah, and I was annoyed by what's your name? Hat person said, so that's why I came on.
That's my name. I'm a hat person.
Yeah. To be fair, I do know Enjoyer. We didn't have a good interaction last time, so I also know where that's going. And no non-smoker. I'm a bit scared about the Lenin poster, but I'm pretty sure we're on the same team on this one. I don't endorse everything this man says.
Oh yeah, so I was listening to everybody's intro. She didn't really add much new, but so I just kind of want to address a bunch of inaccuracies that I heard in there. So Jeb 10, that actually was because of the 73 War Powers Act. Presidents actually are allowed to do. I have it right here. Yeah,
Sure, I just say that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what Congress, the Article 1 gets to allocate power to the other branches or seize it away, which is what they did with the immigration courts and the judiciary. They seized that power away from the judiciary and put it into the executive branch. That way, civil matters like deportations can be handled by the executive branch. So that Congress allocated that party. You can do limited military strikes, but to actually go to war, you still need congressional approval. Generally, it's for the funding mechanisms and for as well allocation of different agencies that Congress has oversight over. So you still do need that. These limited strikes that we did. Essentially, we didn't want to give Israel B-2 bombers with experimental bombs on them to have at their disposal. So this was a way of getting rid of the nukes then.
I'm fine with that. My point being, in terms of the success of the strike, right? It seems to have been a limited success, right? It was a success, but it wasn't a complete success. And as more intelligence comes out, it seems like, we're finding out more and more about materials that we missed. So I think congressional approval is something a president should pursue, because they're Congress people that we elected because they know their shit military-wise.
You're talking about 800 kilograms right now of active uranium that
Israel
definitely knows where that is. They can't say that for a multitude of reasons, but they definitely know where that is. We know.
And so the executive should pursue a partnership with the legislature and pursue as much information as possible for striking. I think the way Trump went about this demonstrated what he demonstrates typically, which is a lack of desire to put thought into anything that he does. And so I am and have been pro the idea of not allowing even limited strikes without congressional approval.
So
for
even
that reason.
yeah, that's the only disagreement I have with you. So as far as attacking Iran and Israel be a rabid dog that tells us whatever we want, we're going to put boots on the ground for them. That has never happened.
Yeah, no,
We've
I don't
never
think that would
fought. Yeah, I wasn't disagreeing with you. That was the only quorum I had with your opening. We've never fought a war with Israel.
Do we hold on? Do we all agree that Israel
What?
and our services probably know where that is, or do we think that Iran's actually hidden that we don't know where the
I think
Israel
if we knew where
knows.
I think if we knew where it was now, if we knew where it was when we struck, we'd have hit it. So we at least didn't know when we struck, and I think someone in Congress probably would have brought that up if it was brought to them first. So
Okay.
Question.
I don't think we know where it is.
Okay. Go ahead, Katie. What's your question?
yeah, I have no opinion on if we know now.
What is your name? I don't want to call you Hat Man. That's
Oh,
really
Jeb.
rude.
Jeb Tan.
Jeb-
It was just a funny meme because I was Red Hat guy to all of the Crucible audience as well, so I thought it was funny
listen.
to call
Don't
it
drink
back.
too much NyQuil. You're gonna see the Hat Man. All right.
I'm an ESL, so Jeb might actually be hard for me to say, so I will sometimes default to Hat Man. If
That's fine.
okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You know what you said about the congressional hearing thing? Do you think that if it was up for a Congress vote, Congress would not approve strikes on Iran?
I think they'd approve it. But I
Okay.
think they'd bring concerns to the floor that would improve the quality of the strike, and the quality of the justification
think
for
so?
the strike. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a massive Republican majority, and there are a lot of their Liberty Caucus probably wouldn't have been pro-Iran, so you would have needed Democrats to jump on. So there would have been deliberation, stronger
So you
justification.
think the Congress thing would have approved it, but there would be like well, first of all, oversight is always good, right? We don't want any one authority running rampant, but also,
Yeah.
I guess you think they would have been like a moderating force for how it went down?
Yeah,
Do you have criticism of how it went down? Like meaningfully?
Yeah, right. Because I obviously we didn't have complete intelligence and we missed quite a bit of nuclear material. I don't think Congress is going to be like a true purifier of every strike, but I think there'll be a coffee filter. I think they'll get rid of a lot of the surface level bullshit.
This is what confuses me, right? Because a lot of the criticism is about how a lot of things were missed. So a lot of what is being talked about is how we didn't do a complete job, which doesn't sound like a moderating force. It honestly sounds like we should have attacked harder because we didn't get everything down. We did a halfway job.
It's either or. So it's either or, right? Like if I asked you what's crueler, sticking a bolt in the back of a cow's head to slaughter it, or beating it to death with a bat over time, you would probably say I'd rather them hit it with the bolt, know exactly where to strike right, or don't strike at all. I think we would agree you should either not kill the cow or you should slaughter it humanely. You shouldn't sit there and beat it with the bat. And I think the congressional approval process decreases the likelihood that we're going to sit in these conflicts and do what non-smokers worried about, which is just continuously take swings at Iran until it's completely destabilized and we even lose support from the people there who do want regime change.
Go ahead and finish your thought, Katie. And let's go to non-smoker. Go ahead.
No problem. I just, this might be an autism thing for me. That's just like when we're saying about like, hey, let's moderate the strike or something like that. It sounds like what people are saying, congressional approval or not. What they mean is we should have went as hard as we could have, potentially even going for a regime change, or if not a regime change, everything that we knew about should have been completely wiped. And so when you say like they would have moderated or refined it, it honestly just sounds like what needed to be done was a lot bigger than what actually happened. So
not just bigger, just better targeted, right? I don't want regime change. I'm supportive of Nikki Haley basically outlined her thought on it, and I tend to agree with her on this, which is that she doesn't support regime change, but a well-informed, comprehensive strike of nuclear materials was what we needed. And otherwise, if you do incomplete violence, right, and I think even our like revolutionary friend will agree, incomplete violence is worse than complete violence because then it's senseless. Then you're not getting the job done. You're killing people anyway. These were scientists. These are people who didn't have to die unless your goal was to complete the mission of keeping Iran from creating a nuclear weapon. If you killed all of these scientists without actually doing that, then it was senseless violence. I think Congress adds the sense. They don't reduce the violence.
I know the non-smoker shot here. Let's go to non-smoker real quick. Let him get it. Go ahead.
Can you give me a second, please?
We got 1 second here. 1 second. Then we're going non-smoker. He's been waiting.
Yeah.
Jeff, just quickly, you say you're not for a regime change. Does that mean that, like, so you don't support Iran having nuclear power and you support militaristically stopping them from that, but you don't support a regime change. So why not? If you don't care about their autonomy to gain like nuclear
Hold on.
autonomy.
We're going to come back to the regime change. That's a whole other can of worms. We'll do that in a second. That's fine. I'm going to let Nonsro get in here before we move to regime change as a topic. Go ahead, Nonsro.
Yeah, I mean, so the question being like, were the strikes effective? I would say that they absolutely were not. I mean, so you guys are really confident that I guess they know where this missing uranium is. I'm not confident in that at all. I happen to think that, look, we have to understand also a lot of the stuff that comes out in the media, whether it's intentional leaks or, things that are passed to the press by like inside people, it's put out there for a reason. What I think the case is being built now throughout various channels of the media to justify a ground invasion of Iran. So what they're trying to insinuate is, well, we carried out these strikes and we did this or that. We tried the, more reserved sort of interventionism where we just drop this, GBU 557 and, it'll take out the nuclear program. But we found out that it didn't actually take out the nuclear program. And it's very cope that some people are insisting that, oh my God, it's been set back a year or two. Haven't you seen the latest reports? Look, the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, a leaked report came out to the media almost immediately after the strikes that the Iranian nuclear program, they're just not able to confirm how seriously it was impacted. And then now, after the president has spent a week or so, whatever it's been, yelling and screaming about how he wants those leakers prosecuted, now there's reports coming out from the Pentagon that say, well, we think we set back the nuclear program a year or two. We can't confirm that, but that's what we think. And everybody's just supposed to say, oh yeah, it was successful. It's look, I think it's clear the strikes were not successful either in terms of wiping out Iran's nuclear program or stopping us from a bigger conflict. I think both things are actually true. Iran's nuclear program remains intact, and we're going to get sucked into a war in Iran.
Do you think they actually meant to fully annihilate their nuclear program?
It's a good question. I think that they were aware
I don't think it's within America's interests.
I think they're aware that Iran is stashing uranium in places that we can't find it. And I think that they know that even with the MOP bombs, that it's no guarantee that we would completely destroy Fordow. So, I think that they felt like it might deplete the nuclear program a little bit, but they had to have known it wouldn't wipe it out completely. There's no way to wipe it out completely without instituting regime change and combing through the whole country and
but that's why I'm saying,
all the uranium.
It seems that the actual, not what America is saying to the public, but in truth, it's very convenient for America that they can constantly use the threat of Iran as close to getting nuclear independence, basically, to then enact aggression and to continue this animosity between Iran and America. It's very beneficial for America to do that. It gives them unlimited will to aggress in all of that area because they're scared that Iran is going to get there,
I just don't think that we need I don't think it's in America's interest to have a continued excuse to keep striking Iran. I think America's sole interest is just in keeping Iran incapable of striking America, and that's what hurting the nuclear program would do. I do think our goal is to eliminate the nuclear program in full. I don't think the U.S. just wants to be able to sit there and hit Iran whenever we want. I think if we wanted justification to do that, we have it. They're constantly sitting in their House of Commons yelling "Death to America, Death to America." Like we have the excuse if we want it.
So I hope I'm not misunderstanding you. Are you saying that the implication from here on out is that we'll continue to carry out precision strikes on Iran to degrade their nuclear program?
Also, Israel.
I wish I knew. I think you might be right in terms of Trump specifically, that if Israel escalates beyond nuclear facilities, that we might help them. I hope not. I don't think we'll ever end up boots on the ground. I don't think it's going to become like a full out like Iraq level conflict with American support.
I just want to make a point here. So, and Tyler happens to think that it's going to come down to more precision strikes in the future. The reason that we're not in a rush to do that is because we know the Iranians have the capacity to retaliate. So it's either you go all out or you stop, here, right? And you can't stop where we are here because we haven't destroyed the nuclear program, which is the whole reason we got involved in the first place, supposedly. So there's really no way of avoiding a war there.
They cannot retaliate. They've been completely decimated. They have
they
no control over
absolutely can retaliate.
Hold on. Let me guys talk for like 20 minutes. Let me get my sentence out. Hold on.
They telegraphed their retaliation initially.
Hold on. They cannot retaliate. They've lost a majority of their airspace. I let you guys talk for like 15 minutes.
That's not even true.
Let me continue to speak my whole sentence before you interrupt.
Okay.
Iran's airspace is completely under the control of Israel besides a couple of small sections. Their docks are completely decimated. They're not forming an army right now. They threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz and they got completely shut down. They're doing absolutely nothing.
Tyler, let me ask you a question. Hold on. All right, maybe for my normies, because I got some normies that like to watch. I have been asked a lot recently about fucking if I think Iran's going to retaliate, and they've suddenly, wow, some of the biggest lefties I know suddenly understand why I've been talking about border security. They go, oh, what if Iran's got sleeper cells, and oh, what if Iran does this thing? Iran's ability to retaliate wouldn't be like, if they really wanted to in a serious way, it wouldn't be like, oh, we're going to launch missiles at the U.S. base and Qatar. What they're going to do is they're going to do some kind of hybrid warfare. So, like, how are you going to tell me they can't retaliate?
They're going to fund proxies. They're going to fund proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and several others, but all of those are decimated as well. Even Lebanon and Israel were teaming up to take down Hezbollah. They're like
they don't need funds necessarily to ideologically activate someone who's already in the U.S., which they have done. They have.
Did. Yeah, there
have been a couple.
Trump. They tried to kill Trump in 2014.
Well, there have been a couple.
You
have
mass way more confidence. You have way more confidence than the U.S. military does about Iran's not being capable of retaliating with ballistic missiles.
Smoker.
They absolutely can retaliate.
Wait, when we say retaliate, do we mean Iran launching a military attack on the United States?
On U.S. military bases in the Middle East.
Yeah, okay, so let's clear out this misunderstanding.
They telegraphed it. They told us they were going to attack ahead of time.
But Smoker, when Tyler is saying they can't retaliate, he means Iran is not shooting rockets at America, which is true. We all understand that no one is shooting rockets at America.
Katie,
what we all
he's saying Iran has no capability of retaliating at all. He just said Israel has full control of Iranian airspace.
Yes, and they've destroyed. They've destroyed about half.
Which is a fucking insane statement.
They have destroyed about half of their long-range missile launchers.
That's not even remotely true. I don't know what fucking rag you're reading, but there's no confirmation.
Keep saying it's not true. I have
counting Iranian missiles. Who do you think is counting Iranian missiles?
Hold on.
I don't think Mossad is counting every single missile.
Hold on.
It's not true, but I have citations for all of
it. Based on nothing. Dude, you're such a boner for Israel. It's so fucking lame.
Hold on. Let me get a little order here. Well, I'm going to go to Katie after I finish this because she's got her head up. But I feel like both things can be true. Like, just because Israel and the U.S. have total control of their airspace doesn't mean they can't sneak a Scud missile out from somewhere. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Scud. I'm just using that as a stand-in. Like this is like one of the premier drone groups in the world. And they're very good at hybrid warfare. Like, literally, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, their whole thing is hybrid warfare, right? Like, they work with, like, their proxies in Syria. They work with their proxies in Lebanon. Like, when I say retaliate, I don't necessarily mean just, like, missiles at the bases. I'm saying they're going to have some sort of hybrid response if they're seriously going to retaliate. Like, that's kind of what I think when I hear response. What do you think, Katie? What are your thoughts here?
I'm just a bit confused, Tyler, because if it was true that Iran, I'm not even talking about hybrid. I'm not like as conspiracy, like as upset about sleeper cells as Gibbs, but like we do understand that Iran engages in proxy as a response to America engaging in proxy in Russia and China, whatever you want to call it. But if we're just speaking of Iran right now, okay, Iran's military power. Why, if they are decimated, was Israel and the United States interested in brokering a ceasefire?
Israel doesn't want to be in war anymore. Their people have like a 30% approval rating of continuing being in wars.
Yeah, why do you think they don't want to be in war anymore,
Shut up.
dude?
Why do Israelis not want a war with Iran?
They didn't say they didn't want a war with Iran. They're done with war generally. They've been in one for over 2 years right now, and they're exhausted. That's what the polling out of Israel says.
This
So,
is
so
not
their
true.
war fatigue is from Gaza and Hezbollah, not Iran.
Hold on, real
Not
quick.
Iranian missiles fucking raining down on
This is
Tel
not
Aviv
true. I don't know
and
what you're talking
Haifa and all these other places,
Posted in
blowing up apartment buildings and shit like
Since
that.
you can't shut up, read the
You
citations.
know, how many air defense systems
Hold on, one at a
interceptors
time.
do you think Israel has left?
I backed up all my claims of citation in chat. How about you go check those
They
out?
got
Shut
like
the fuck up
2
for a minute.
weeks left, dude. 2 weeks
Katie,
left worth
Katie,
of
what were you
interceptors,
saying?
which are
Well,
way
hold
more
on.
expensive.
Well, yeah, I mean
Iranian
that's a good point,
ballistics.
though. That's a good point. If they're building them cheaper, like in theory, like just like okay, look at the U.S. Right, one of the big concerns is if like North Korea or China
Can
was to
you
attack
link me
us.
that poll, please?
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
sure
find
he's
that
got the
next.
scores, but like I mean, if we shoot at one nuke, we shoot like what 5 Minutemen, and each Minuteman several million. So if they send a bunch of nukes, like that's kind of like the strategy, right? Is overwhelm it over time, with the Minutemen. Like that's always been a thing. I don't see how the Iron Dome works any differently than that. Why is non-smoker wrong, Tyler? Like I get what you're saying with the reports, but I mean I've seen contradictory reports myself, like that they're hurting, like on missile numbers. Like, do you don't think that they can be worn down over time? I mean, I don't think I read
Absolutely. That's I've seen those reports as well. They're running out, and the United States is running out of being able to rearm them. So we need to build more. Absolutely. Israel is talking about making their own missiles moving forward, so they don't have to rely on the U.S. because the Biden administration is withholding multiple types of weapons from them. But yeah, they are running out. Absolutely, they could knock them down. But as I just posted 2 weeks ago, it was confirmed that Israel destroyed 1/3 of Iran's long-range missile launchers. 96% of the missiles they launched out of Iran.
Talking
did not
about the
hit
article
target.
you posted.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Are you talking about the article you posted in the Discord chat?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
One-third
Okay,
of
the one from June 16th, which says that Israel claims to have destroyed 1/3 of
Yes.
Iran's missiles.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. So, an
Yeah,
out-of-date article with no absolute confirmation
Two-week-old
or
article?
third-party verification.
2-week-old article that was confirmed. It's 2 weeks.
With no
Confirmed by Israel, Tyler.
Do you have any proof that Israel's lying?
No
Do you have any
third-party
proof that Israel's
verification.
lying? Do you have any proof that Israel's lying, or are you just saying that because the Jews are saying that they're lying?
No,
Okay,
no.
what
Everything
are you
that is
saying? It's
said, they're lying. Not
anti-Semitic to
because they're
say
Jews.
Israel
Do you
might
have any
lie?
proof
Hold on.
that they're lying?
I'm
Do you have any
gonna-
proof that they're
hold
Oh,
lying?
it's
hold on,
anti-Semitic if Israel lies. Do you
No,
have
hold on, hold on.
It's the double
Hold on,
standard.
Very
hold on.
anti-Semitic
Hold
for
All
Israel.
right, here's what we're gonna do.
That
Here's what we're
everything
gonna
is
do.
anti-Semitic.
Hold on,
It's
hold on,
anti-Semitic if Israel didn't do
Everybody,
it.
I'm gonna
Do
mute
you
people.
have any proof that they're lying, or are you just making shit up, pulling it out your ass?
Hold on,
You have
hold
no
on.
proof that they're not lying.
I just proved you wrong with a
They
citation.
have a reason to lie.
Just
They have a
lying.
reason to
Okay,
lie.
all right,
They have
let
a
me get
reason
an
to
order, let me
lie.
get an order.
You outlined it.
Can you prove that, or you
All
just
right.
making shit up? You just make
They
shit
have a
up.
reason to
You just-
lie.
All right, we're gonna just
They have
mute
a reason
everybody.
to lie.
We're gonna mute everybody here. We're gonna get some order. God damn it! I like the fire. I like the fire. Calm down. We're gonna get to the back to going here. All right, we're gonna. I'm gonna let now Tyler. You gotta let non-smoker respond because he just went, and then I'm gonna go to Katie, and then I'm gonna go to Jet 10. So all right, so go ahead and respond, non-smoker, and then Katie, go after him.
Yeah, Israel has reason to lie. Okay, their reason to lie would be making it seem as though the war between Iran and Israel has been a success for Israel, thus justifying any U.S. intervention because Israel could say, well, we've degraded Iran's ability to defend itself, we've degraded Iran's ability to have offensive retaliation for anything the Americans might do, therefore America, you should come in and drop those fucking MOPs on Fordo because we can't bomb Fordo, we don't have the technology to do it, and therefore America may get roped into this, and America fighting Israel's war is way better for Israel than Israel having to fight it straight up, which if they did, they would lose because they can't keep affording expensive interceptors to deflect cheap Iranian ballistic missiles, most of which they still have, or at least have the capacity to continue to produce because they're cheap and easy to make.
All right, go ahead, Katie. Then we're gonna Jet 10, and you respond, Tyler. Go ahead, Katie.
Okay, so knowing the experience that I've had with Tyler, I'm just going to give my counter argument to what you're saying. From my understanding, I don't want to argue with you about facts that you and I just see the world very differently. So my counter narrative from the fact that I'm the literal Israeli that talked to my parents about this, that I actually know what Israelis think, is like my very left-leaning Israeli Zionist dad wants Israel to go harder on Iran and change the regime, okay? Israelis are not war fatigued. Israelis are just incredibly stunned by the fact that IDF propaganda for decades have told them that no one can hurt Tel Aviv, and suddenly rockets are landing. Now, I'll grant you It's like 98.9% of the rockets that are being sent that Israel with America and with Egypt and with Jordan and with the UK are intercepting. But in the Israeli mindset, the amount of rockets that are landing in central cities in Israel is incomprehensible. Israelis don't want war with Iran because they realized that the IDF is not actually capable of protecting their lifestyle. They are not worn out by war. And so I don't think that a ceasefire happened because Israel was done doing their best life and now they're tired of it. I think they're terrified because they're not used to their Tel Aviv audience getting fucking rammed with rockets. That's it.
All right, JetPat, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have like a limited agreement with both sides here, but let me express those limitations. So I agree with average debate enjoyer that I don't think Iran has the ability to retaliate in the sense of creating a legitimate military threat to the United States or Israel. I don't agree with non-smokers saying that if Israel was left to fight this alone, they'd lose. I think they would win. I think we would have to support them. I think we'd have to continue supplying them with interceptors, but I think we can outpace. We can outpace. Well, I mean, alone meaning us not having boots on the ground, right? Obviously, they're going to get support from us no matter what. We have existing agreements where we give them support no matter what. A lone Israeli conflict doesn't technically exist, but in any reality where it does, we're still giving them support in terms of interceptors, which is fine. Defensive support has always been part of our agreements, and we're always going to do it, and interceptors are defensive. What I think Tyler's missing, and what I think, and this is why the using American representatives of the constituents matters, is I like Tyler's passion, but you start to have a conversation that nobody can relate to because you're not giving credence to legitimate concerns. Iran does have the capacity to retaliate in a way that would create political buy-in in the United States for a boots-on-the-ground conflict. All they have to do is eke in one missile on a U.S. military base and actually kill more than 10 American soldiers, and we have problems, right? We have a serious political buy-in, right? There's already political buy-in, as Katie said, of Israeli Americans. There's buy-in for, where I live, Iranian Americans to regime change in Iran. There is a robust base of regime change support in the United States right now, and it would take very little to move the United States over onto the pro-regime change side, especially with Trump as president. So I empathize with the idea that Iran does have a meaningful ability to retaliate in a way that would get the U.S. involved in a war. I don't think they would be able to retaliate and create an actual military threat. And this is why I think a better and more comprehensive strike, yes, a bigger strike would have saved more lives, because I think a bigger and better strike from America on our first swing could have ended the fight. Iranians, Israelis, anyone who would be involved in a future conflict. I think if we actually completely eliminated Iran's nuclear program, they would be forced to capitulate. And the fact that they haven't, to non-smokers' point, is proof that they do have shit that we don't know about. Otherwise, if we have perfect information, Iran would have given up by now.
Hold on.
Wait, how does that save Iranian lives? Them capitulating doesn't save Iranian lives.
It would, because Israel wouldn't. Because if they come to a ceasefire agreement, Israel is no longer attacking Iran.
This idea that if Iran killed U.S. troops, we'd put boots on the ground with Iran is just wild to me, because they've been killing U.S. troops for decades. And during the Iraq War, they killed hundreds. They attacked two military bases when Trump was president in his first term. One time, missiles out of Iraq killed U.S. service members. There were no boots on the ground. This idea that we would go to war for Israel has never happened. It's never happened.
I think you're operating
it has happened. It just hasn't happened in Iran.
Yeah, I think
do you think the Israeli fingerprints were not all over the Iraq War? We're not all over our involvement in Syria. We're not all over our involvement in Libya.
Give me Give me a single war where Israel and U.S. had their armies on the ground together.
Read the clean break memo. Read the clean break memo. Israel has literally outlined the map, the roadmap for regime change all over the Middle East, and guess what? It's all happened except for Iran. And it's all happened with U.S. involvement.
Well, I'll give you two. The first Iraq War, the second Iraq War.
There were no Israeli troops on the ground. They were providing intel for us.
This is a really
Israel was not directly involved. They advocated for the Iraq War repeatedly. Netanyahu came and spoke to Congress about it.
No, he said that Iraq was a mistake. Iran was the right target.
No, but he told us to go into Iraq beforehand. I can show you the document. He told us to go. Okay, I can show you the speech he gives where he advocates for regime change in Iraq.
This is a
ahead, go ahead.
conversation.
This
This is a
argument?
conversation. Hold on. This is a conversation I've been having in a lot of these political conversations. And you're triggering it, Tyler.
Jeb, listen, I'm not trying to disrespect you. It's crazy to me that people don't understand the basic history of the region here. Do you understand that Israel supported regime change in Iraq because what they wanted was the king of Jordan to get the support of the Hashemites in Iraq to help create a greater expansive region that is supportive of Israel, ultimately to open up Israel's opportunity to expand its influence throughout the rest of the region. It's the same reason they wanted regime change in Syria. It's the same reason they wanted regime change in Lebanon. It's the same reason they wanted regime change in Libya. It's the same reason they want a real regime to be put in to Yemen that's supportive of Israel. It's all about Israel's security interests.
No, hold on. Let me. I will. Hold on. So I'll address that. Yeah, I agree. I think if you asked Israelis, they're not secret about it. They're like, we would like regime change everywhere in the Middle East, so people don't want to kill us anymore. That would be what they say.
They say it all the time.
Yes, but I would quibble with you in the same way Tyler would as to how severely that actually affects U.S. policy, or if U.S. policy would just be incentivized that direction anyway for the overall stability of the Middle East. But my issue with Tyler, real quick, hold on.
Go ahead.
My issue is you're overextending your evidence, Tyler. You're operating in have we? Yes or no? Will we? Yes or no? You're dealing with 100% chances and 0% chances. What I'm saying is yes, the chances right now that we would go boots on the ground in Iran are low, but growing. Every one of those attacks that you just cited increase the chances that we will eventually have to step into Iran. And like I said, there is robust support among Iranian Americans, Israeli Americans, and white Americans, and all kinds of Americans to put boots on the ground in Iran, and it's not going to take 100% swing in order to get us to put boots on the ground there. I think at this point, we're only looking at like a 10 to 20% swing in order to get boots on the ground in Iran.
I have the Harvard-Harris poll on that. Boots on the ground are not popular in the United States.
They're not.
Bombing Iran was 55% popular. Iran not getting a nuclear weapon was 85% popular across all three parties.
Well, let me so hold on. I'm gonna let you respond here in a second, Tyler. But I do want to ask Jeb something, and then you can go after him, Katie. Because we're talking about the regime change, right? And I'm sure Israel wants it, and I'm sure that y'all are gonna probably take umbrance with what I have to say next. But that's fine. To me, I think the one person right now that feels real vindicated is maybe Dick Cheney and George Bush, right? Because they would argue that destabilizing Iraq has led to what the moment we are now, where all these countries in the axis of evil are all struggling. Syria's gone, right? Hezbollah, Hamas, they're weaker than they've ever been. We see Iraq as a problem, the fourth largest military in the world. They're gone. No Saddam Hussein. The Ba'ath Party is gone from Syria, Egypt, and whatever. They became ISIS, and then they got wiped out. And then now Iran, the last holdout in the region, is the weakest they've ever been. And I think to some people in the U.S., it would be beneficial, and this is kind of what Non-Smoker was saying, they would see it as beneficial to knock down this power with regime change. And I think Israel sees it that way because destabilization makes it a bunch of weaker enemies as opposed to like one enemy, right? That's like stronger. Now, there's also the argument for like, destabilization is going to cause much more danger at the like micro level because you're going to have all these little people popping up everywhere, right? So like, I think both arguments can be true at the same time. What is your thoughts on this, Jeb? Because you seem to take a little bit of umbrance with that analysis that I'm kind of giving out here. What do you think?
No, my problem with the Iraq War isn't the long-term outcome. I think the long-term outcome has almost indisputably been more stability and less threat, at least to our allies like Israel in the Middle East. I think the fact, yes, like you said, a lot of destabilizing forces are weaker now. My issue with the Iraq War is that doesn't matter. Regardless of the outcome, the end does not justify the means. You don't get to lie to your people for justification for war. That is you essentially usurping the power of Congress by manipulating people with false intelligence. That is manufacturing consent in the purest fucking form. I mean, you can't do that. That in itself is an evil, regardless of the aim you're trying to achieve. And that's something to Tyler's point. Yes, the polls right now say 85% support for keeping them from having a nuke, but only like 20% support for boots on the ground until they're convinced that boots on the ground are necessary. And then all of a sudden, or what happened when Trump struck them? Striking Iran was overwhelmingly unpopular among Republicans 2 days before the strikes, and then 2 days after the strikes, it became overwhelmingly popular among Republicans. Polls are limited data. You're overextending the quality of the data you have. It is not representative of what people actually think. It's representative of how a question was phrased to them and how they emotionally feel in that moment. But the moment they are emotionally convinced that the only way to stop Iran from killing Americans is to put boots on the ground, you're going to see those polls all of a sudden shoot up. And that's what Non-Smoker's warning about, and I agree with him in that concern. And that's why I think that we needed to be more surgical with our strikes.
Okay,
so
I'll let you go Tyler to Katie, then you're non-smoker.
Oh, sorry. So, I saw all the 2 polls Josiah was talking about online as well. You're citing 2 different polls that said that, but I can give you 5 polls before the strikes took place that showed the majority of Republicans were on board with them before they happened. But yeah, you are right. I am kind of using my evidence a little more than I can, because what I'm being met with is we're going to see Iran doing something despite the fact that they have 0 troop mobilization, a third of their long rockets have been destroyed, Jordan's working against them, Qatar's working against them, Egypt's working against them, Saudi Arabia's working against them. Despite that, Iran's going to do something, but they're not actually doing anything. We can see they're not actually doing. They couldn't even close the Strait of Hormuz like they threatened to do. So I'm getting met with the U.S. is going to do this, Iran's going to do this, but none of it's materialized. I get pointing out a fact pattern of what we've actually done in the past.
I get the meme that Iran is evil and dumb, and they are evil and dumb. But let's give them a little more credit. The reason they telegraphed their strike and didn't close the Strait of Hormuz is because they are afraid of the United States and Israel, and they are signaling like, "Hey, we are down to make a deal."
They're not China. That's why they didn't close the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, yeah, essentially, yeah, they're afraid of the consequences of closing the Strait of Hormuz. They're afraid of the consequences of actually striking a U.S. base. But again, if we give them enough reason to outbalance that fear, they could pull us into a war and just try to destabilize. That is something Iran is absolutely dumb enough to do.
That's the Ayatollah Khomeini. I don't think we'll do it.
Katie, go ahead.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, this is remember that you said this part, Jeb, because if I'll never get to come back to it, I will ask you after the stream, because I have a question about
No, I will answer anything. Yeah, I don't want to gloss over anything. If I miss anything, it's genuine. I missed it.
So just a few things that I want to say. Tyler, when you made the argument about there wasn't a single war in the Middle East where Israel and America were boots on the ground in that country, this is, I think that's beneath you. Israel does boots on the ground with their neighbors. Israel has never engaged in a country where they fly over soldiers to a place that they can't geographically walk to. They don't really do this. And there's a reason for it, because they have American allies who are very willing to bump from above. So it's not a good through line. I get what you were saying, but come on. The other thing that I want to say is that I'm a bit confused. I guess Americans are kind of in a trauma about the whole like Iraq boots on the ground, Afghanistan boots on the ground, like Absolutely. Boots on the ground. Like America can absolutely decimate Iran without ever being boots on the ground. Do we all realize this? They don't need to be boots on the ground to meaningfully attack Iran. So I don't think when Tyler is saying, hey, boots on the ground isn't popular, that doesn't mean Iran won't go, like that America won't go into a meaningful assault on Iran. They don't need to be boots on the ground for that. If you just want, look at the support that America gives to Ukraine without being boots on the ground. You know,
we don't hit Russia, though. We don't attack Russia directly, though.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's a direct comparison, but I'm saying America can do a lot without being boots on the ground. It's what they've been refining for the last 2 decades.
But that I'm okay with. I'm not afraid of that. I'm okay with the Ukraine
Of course you're not. You're not the one dying from it. But yeah.
No, certainly. Like I'll be naked in that view. Yes, I am glad it's not a U.S. mainland conflict, and I think regardless of if we get involved, the conflict between Iran and Israel is going to kill thousands as long as it goes on. Us getting in and ending it sooner, I think, would save lives. That's the reason why I'm okay with that kind of support.
That's not
very similar.
I was next.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
I just want to address what she said. So you both made a very similar point. And again, the reason I'm saying this is not because...
Just let him go. Let Notsmoker go. You go after him. Just go after him. That's fine. Go ahead, Notsmoker.
Smoker cut me off. I still have a point.
Oh,
all right. Finish, Katie.
But I'm gonna let Tyler say what he wanted first.
I just want to
Tyler, that's not how this works.
To address their point.
Okay, fuck Tyler. Okay, Jeb. I have a problem because you keep saying stabilizing and destabilizing. Aren't you a libertarian?
For Americans, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, like, are all libertarians so committed to American imperialism? So when you say
I'm not committed to American imperialism, but sure.
So when you say stabilize in the Middle East, you use the native forces of the Middle East as destabilizing forces, and when American intervention is stabilization.
No, some of the forms like in the Middle East are stabilizing. We usually are in tandem with the stabilizing forces of the Middle East when we go in.
In alignment with American interests. The way that you measure whether it's destabilizing or stabilizing is based on American interests, obviously.
No.
No?
No.
So why is Iran a destabilizing element in the Middle East?
They fund rebel groups in 6 different countries. They're the leading funder of Hamas, leading funder of Hezbollah, leading funder of the Houthis.
Yeah, but
if someone is not their version of Muslim enough, they will fund a rebel group to become a leading political party and never have an election again. That's destabilizing.
Destabilizing because you want the Middle East to be in a certain way.
Destabilizing because which of those countries is stable with those rebel groups in charge? Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, which one?
Well, I would argue that they're not stable because America keeps funding people to attack them.
That's why, not because... Wait, so why is Iran funding people to attack them? Okay, but the U.S. isn't.
No.
Because it sounds like to you, as long as something is against U.S. interests, it's stabilizing, and you're trying to project that onto me and the opposite. I'm saying it is not stabilizing to fund rebel proxies in every country that does not follow your fundamentalist Islam ideals and want to kill enough Jews. That's fundamentally destabilizing.
Oh my God, dude.
If the U.S. is destabilizing in a way that is favorable to Israel, sure, let's say they're both destabilizing. I think the countries that have been destabilized the countries that have been destabilized in favor of Israel, like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iraq, they're far more stable in objective measures than all of the ones who have been destabilized against Jews and against
because
Israel.
America is normalizing with them and not
Because of the United States, bro.
Shut up. So, Jeb, all I'm saying is...
Sounds like we're stabilizing.
All I'm saying is that, but it's stabilizing because America doesn't attack the people they want to help, and attacks usually are destabilizing. But if you're willing to say, hey, America is a destabilizing elements in the Middle East sometimes, and Iran is, that's fine by me. I just haven't heard that from you yet, so if you're fine with that.
I'm saying it could be argued. I think you have to go conflict by conflict, right? Like, obviously the U.S. doesn't destabilize Israel. The U.S. is uniquely stabilizing to Israel. We were destabilizing in Iraq, and now we are stabilizing in Iraq. We have been destabilizing in Yemen. I would argue we are a net destabilizer in Yemen, but Iran is a far more severe and worse net destabilizer in Yemen.
All right, that's
so it's like, which one do you pick?
All right, let's go here. All right, great. All right,
I just wanted to know that you have this.
We're going to non-smoker. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Jesus Christ. I mean, there's so many things. Like,
Sorry.
first of all, Iran is dumb and evil. I mean, like, Israel is so much more evil than Iran by several orders of magnitude. It's just fucking unbelievable. The amount of fucking kids they kill, innocent civilians, women, they're shooting people who are trying to get food, you know, it's whatever. I can't understand
Iran is
anybody having that perspective. Excuse me?
Yeah, Iran has done all those things. Iranian security forces kill protest groups all the time. They both kill and indoctrinate and enlist children in the military, in rebel groups in different countries.
So you're talking about the authoritarian regime within Iran. Let's take this one claim at a time.
Okay,
do you think
sure.
that any of the abuses of human rights within Iran are anything close to what's being carried out by Israel and Gaza? Because the entire fucking planet would disagree with you on that. The entire fucking planet recognizes Gaza as a uniquely evil thing that's almost without precedent outside of, like, the Holocaust.
Wait, how is it? Is it any different than what they did to the Kurds? Like,
absolutely,
they wiped out the Kurds.
Absolutely, dude, they're shooting little kids in the fucking head.
Yeah, but they.
I mean, so does Iran.
I'm not saying that that's not bad, but they also gassed villages.
We don't need to compare genocide.
Hold on, Katie. That's my point. Is Iran has stated genocidal intent against Jews? Is that not worse than even unstated genocidal intent? It's not true.
It's totally not true.
They don't.
Oh my God.
No.
The Ayatollah, the authoritative regime in Iran.
the supreme leader has made statements that Israel is a cancer and all this bad stuff, but he's never stated with intent, yes, we need to kill all the Jews in the Middle East to carry out an Islamo-fascist state or some bizarre liberal fantasy you guys have about
but
what
that's not about
Iran's
the
foreign
Islamo-
policy
Jeb,
is.
Jeb, in the comparison,
Jews
we're
dead.
talking about Iran versus what Israel
He
does
doesn't
in
want
Gaza.
Jews dead, dude. It's not about Jews.
Hold on, Iran
Israel is a
murders
settler colonial project of Europeans.
Iran murders children. They murder children in resistance groups all the time in order to
Israel
destabilize
kills
those
way
resistance
more
groups.
children than Iran ever has dreamed of killing.
So
dude.
when you're saying is Israel
it's
more
not even close.
Is okay.
Israel's done way more bad just in the last 2 years, dude.
Iran or even Israel has never been accused of they've been accused. They've never been found to have purposefully targeted children. Iran has repeatedly been found to have purposefully targeted children.
Do you read Haaretz? Do you read Haaretz?
I read what the international communities take. I read the trials against.
Bro, there's reports from this week from people within the IDF admitting that they watch IDF and U.S. aid groups shoot fucking innocent people who are
and
coming
have
to get
they been
food.
corroborated? Have they come to try? Like,
it's from people within the IDF.
I mean, they claim it's from people in the IDF.
Dude,
what I'm saying is,
Jeb,
when we allow
you're
these
a nice
stories,
guy. You're a nice guy. History is not going to look back on this conversation fondly. They're going to look back at the things you're saying, and they're going to be like, "You're the guy who was like, I don't think that the concentration camps are actually real."
Wait, hold on.
Trust me.
What are they going to say?
Israel
What are they
is
going to
not
say
in a
about?
position where they can deny this anymore. There's reports that there could be like 400,000 people dead as a result of the Gaza war.
What are they going to say? What are the people who watch this history when they look back? What are they going to say about you saying Iran is nowhere near as evil as Israel when
Iran is nowhere near as evil?
When Amnesty International, who has never found Israel to have purposefully targeted children in their strikes, has openly said multiple times Iranian authorities have purposefully shot the children. Hold on, stop.
Please, anyone in the audience, it's 2 seconds of Googling. There's mountains of evidence all over the place.
There's not mountains of evidence.
There's mountains of evidence.
There's reports that end up never corroborated. That when they go to trial, or when they go into the international courts, or when they go into the Amnesty International reviews,
journalists killed, people,
and then when these large
prisoners, they fucking raped prisoners, and when the prisoners were in prison,
you're saying more
when these
evil than
soldiers were
Iran.
imprisoned,
This is
Israelis were protesting to let them go.
Okay, this is
a fucking death cult. It's a death cult.
You're only describing things that Iran has done and done more purposefully and more targeted
this is
than
crazy,
Israel
Jeb.
has.
Jeb, I respect you. You're a nice guy. This is really
I'm sorry.
fucking
Amnesty International.
far-right Israeli propaganda.
Is Amnesty International
people
far-right?
within Israel. Okay,
Is Amnesty International
how about
far-right?
this? I'll let you talk, and I'll find you cases, documented evidence of Israel killing kids, and I'll put those in the chat. We could just stop it right there, because if you can't admit just basic information, I can't have a conversation with you.
It's about purposeful targeting of children.
So
Iran has a stated goal of killing children of resistance groups to demoralize them.
What is the criteria for you that you need the soldier to be like, I want to kill a child today? That's your evidence. That's the evidence that you require. They shot kids in the fucking head, Jeb.
But so did Iran. So how does that make Israel more evil when Iran does the same thing? And they
shooting en masse like that. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to say it, but you've interrupted me every time. Amnesty International,
Jeb,
2022.
I've heard you say Amnesty International 1,000 times.
But okay, then what did they find? What am I telling you that they found?
You're telling me that Amnesty International found that the IRGC and the Iranian government targeted protesters who were anti-regime protesters, and they killed civilians, including children.
That they purposefully and arbitrarily arrested, intimidated, tortured, and murdered specifically children of resistance groups in a stated goal to destabilize those resistance groups. It's right here. I'll link it in the chat.
Thank you. You have that report, and I have a whole bunch of other points to get to, but I could pause there. Yeah, we'll come back to it.
All right, go ahead, non-smoker, and then not smoker, Tyler, and then we'll go to Katie because I see her dancing over here. Go ahead.
All right, so Katie, you and Jeb both made a point that is accurate. I am taking some of the information I have and extending it. I've already said this once. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm being met with speculation arguments of things that haven't happened, that we see no evidence that they will happen. So I'm going through the fact pattern of the past to show what's actually happened in the past. So you are correct in that assessment, but it's only because I'm being met with arguments of pure speculation with zero proof backing them. So what we've seen here is a massive double standard. Some anonymous single source can report something, we'll never find out who the person is, and we have to take it at face value. But Amnesty International in Israel, who has video evidence and surveillance evidence, they're lying because they have a reason to lie. So we don't actually need to prove that they're lying here. We can just hand wave it off as a lie. It's
he didn't say that. He didn't say that Amnesty International is lying. I don't want to. I don't
Israel
want to. Yeah, Israel does have a reason to lie. I mean, they do have an interest in lying.
Every single human being has a reason to lie. That doesn't mean they're lying. You have to have proof of that somebody is lying.
Exactly. So that's what I would.
No, you have to have proof of what you're saying, Tyler.
Until I found something about Israel is killing kids.
But not that they're targeting children.
Yes, that they're targeting children. I have quotes from Amnesty International.
It's like taking 50% of the talking time.
We're going to come back to this. Calm down. God damn, bro. It's about the talking time. Everybody going to give the turn. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Tyler. And then we're going to go to Katie.
So again, I was trying to get to this point. Iran is not mobilizing at all. 96% of Iran's missiles missed their targets because they were completely shot down. 1/3 of their launches were destroyed 2 weeks ago, and they've been getting blown up since. They're not even shooting rockets anymore at this point. Israel won the war almost solely independently. The only thing the United States did was drop bunker busters on their nuclear sites. They didn't kill troops. They didn't attack people. It was all Israel. Israel had precision strikes, killed off all of their scientists, most of their military leaders, and then said, we know where Ayatollah Khomeini is, and the only reason we're not killing him is because the U.S. told us not to. They scared the piss out of Iran. Iran has done nothing since. They're done. It's over.
All right. Is that all you got? Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get out. Yeah.
Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, wow. Now I don't know. Okay, I have to first make the point that I wanted to make.
Go ahead.
Okay, so... no, I'll address Tyler first. So, I agree that Iran are cowards, yeah, but I don't think that's because they lost the war, and absolutely, Israel did not independently win it with America and the UK and Jordan and Egypt helping them intercept things and giving them money and missiles to do that. No, that's not independent.
The fighting is what I meant. They completely did all the fighting themselves.
They did some of the neighborhood bombing themselves. Yes, very. What I did want to say is that, Jeb, did you see what I sent in Discord about what Amnesty International says about Gaza?
Yeah, so your article...
Read it out loud for me.
Yes, nowhere in that article does it say they deliberately targeted children.
That's fine. Read the title out loud for me.
Okay. What the
Amnesty International investigation concludes Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza.
Thank you. So I'm not going to argue with you about the targeting of children because I think the entire conversation with you, a non-smoker, I don't give a fuck about that. What I do care is that from now on, when you cite Amnesty International about them not purposefully targeting children, please also cite that Amnesty International thinks Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Thank you.
So when I cite Amnesty International, let me ask you a question. Do you think I'm citing their data and their findings, or do you think I'm citing their opinions on the conflict? Right? Like, I've cited the Cato Institute's article about how great Biden did in immigration.
The Cato Institute.
Specifically to make the argument that he did not do great in immigration, because I'm not citing their opinions, because they're a biased opinion columnist. I'm citing their data because their data is of high quality and has a high standard for evidence, right? So Amnesty International's belief... Hold on. Amnesty International's belief that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, they even claim themselves, is that Israel has met one or more of the legal criteria for genocide. They do not even claim that they have met the sufficient criteria to be committing a genocide. They say they have committed acts that are against the... that essentially meet some of the criteria for genocide, right? Which is killing a lot of people. But that does not mean that they are actually doing that. I am looking at Amnesty International's findings. I respect their numbers. I respect the number of children that they've found who have died. But their findings on genocide don't matter because they don't even claim that they have met all of the sufficient criteria for genocide, which includes an intent to wipe out all Palestinians or the Palestinian nationality.
When you cite Amnesty International to say Amnesty International claimed that they don't have proof that Israel is intentionally targeting children, you realize that's also their opinion? That's not data?
That is that they have
Do you
not
realize
found
that's an
data.
analysis?
They're
That is that they have
they're
not
dropping
found data.
airstrikes on fucking
Okay,
refugee
they have not
camps.
found data. That's
They
great.
have not found data to do that. No, that's
And,
what,
and
that's
secondly,
what I
and
want.
That's a
my
good-
point.
that's
No,
a-
Admiral, shut up, Gibbs. Tyler. There's a thing I want to say. When you argue with non-smoker and then you do the thing of like, you can't say Israel is lying, you have to prove that they're lying. No, when Israel says something, they have to prove that it's true. Not we don't have to prove that they lie after they say something. They have to prove that it's true. The burden of proof is on Israel,
Yes.
not on the people saying that they're lying.
Videos, pictures, surveillance. Yeah, absolutely, they do.
All right, let me just
Great.
respond to something actually non-smoker just said. I think it's interesting. I want to hear Jeb Dan go, and then I'm going to go back to non-smoker.
Yeah.
He made a point there about the airstrike thing. I think even if you want to dispute the Amnesty International stuff, right, and whether or not they're straight, Israel openly admitted not too long, I guess maybe this is last year now, that fucking bombing an airstrike, not bombing a refugee camp because they knew for a fact that leader of Hamas was there, and they're like, we're okay with a small amount of civilian casualties to get them. That was something they openly admitted to. Like, I don't know that you can say they're like that's purposeful. I mean, I guess your argument, they're not purposefully attacking kids. I mean, if you know kids are going to be around the guy, and you're like, well, we're going to kill him anyway. That's not much different in my book than going, oh yeah, we're going to kill those kids right there because daddy's a revolutionary. Like, I don't. What's the fundamental difference there when they openly admitted to that?
Yeah. So I empathize with that view. So when you're talking about, right, this whole conversation was talking about degrees of evil. Who's more evil, Israel or Iran? And I would tell you that someone who is in the military of the United States, who has killed 37 people, right, is not as evil as someone who killed one person in malice, right? Because the idea isn't that they have done less total bad or done less total negative thing, right? It's that this person is not balancing the negative ramifications of their actions with the positive ramifications of their actions. That's what makes them evil. The fact that Iran, specifically to cause terror and to cause fear in these resistance groups, they are purposefully kidnapping, torturing, and murdering children as a stated goal is much more evil to me than Israel saying, we have to kill all the leaders of Hamas for this conflict to end. And so we don't think that we need to avoid this area if a Hamas leader is in there. I don't agree with them. That is evil. It is not more evil than Iran purposefully targeting children because they are children so that they can create the fear and terror that murdering and raping children will elicit. That's my point. It is not that Israel is without fault. I am not of that ilk. I think Israel has committed some serious harms in their conflict in Gaza, though I still overall support the Gazan conflict.
Yeah,
I
you just
will
want to
never
have a
claim that
philosophical discussion about evil rather than a material difference
That
that,
was
gives
the
us
point.
about.
Let's go to
That is the
non-smoker.
hold on. That is a material difference. The material difference of
So
purposefully targeting
your philosophy
children.
around what's less or more evil is not
Evil is a
what you were
philosophical
discussing with
concept.
non-smoke.
Hold on. Well, I
Yes,
wanna
it
go,
was. He said Israel is more evil.
Hold on. I want to go to non-smoker now.
Evil
because-
is a philosophical concept.
Oh,
There's a
let's-
moral concept.
Hold on. Let's go
I,
let's go to non-smoker now. I want to hear his response to what Jeb just said because I brought up his point here that he just made. So yeah, go ahead, non-smoker. What are your thoughts on that? His take right there.
I mean, Jeb is just saying that because the Iranians, according to one Amnesty International report, and one person from Amnesty International made the inference that they're deliberately doing this to break the spirit of the protesters, that makes what Iran is doing equal or more evil than Israel deliberately carrying out atrocities that have led to the deaths of almost 15,000 children. It's such a fucking insane level of cope. I can't believe it. But look, I'll give you this,
I'll
Jeb.
explain why,
I'm not even.
yeah.
Well, give me a minute.
Yeah.
I'm even willing to grant the whole thing, and Gibbs kind of alluded to this, that like maybe the IDF soldiers, it's not like I think they're being given orders to specifically pick off little kids. I don't even believe that. But they've shown a wanton disregard for human life. And for the purported reason that, well, we have to wipe out Hamas and get the hostages back, two objectives they've failed in, by the way. They've killed thousands and thousands of innocent people, at times deliberately, at times saying, yeah, we're going to hit this refugee site, or we're going to hit this, we're going to tell the Gazans to evacuate to this place and then bomb it, and then say, well, we knew that Hamas would be there, and so we knew there would be collateral damage, dozens of people killed, many of whom are children, but hey, that's, the cost of doing business, LOL. And then they achieve nothing, right? So in my view, I would say that it's significantly more evil just in terms of numbers. The amount of kids dying in Gaza is sort of incomparable anywhere else in the world, in the modern world right now. Even in the Ukraine war, where they estimate over 1 million people are dead. Most of them are combatants. Okay,
so this is
a
my
level
point.
of evil that is so fucking unbelievable that people try to justify. If you want to justify that, well, the Palestinians are, and listen, talk to Israelis. Okay, talk to Israelis, because what they'll tell you is the Palestinians are subhuman and that they need to be eliminated. And they'll tell you that they're the shit of the shit and cockroaches and they need to be expelled into the desert and all of that stuff. They'll tell you straight the fuck up, dude. Even people in the Israeli government, all throughout the IDF, it's a genocide. They want a genocide. They want to ethnically cleanse that area. That's what it's about.
I don't think they want to genocide the Palestinians, but let me touch on like the core part of your argument, right? I think the core disagreement we're having is whether the sheer numbers outweighs deliberate intent, and that's the reason why I gave the metaphor that I did, which is I know American service members who are good people who have killed over 30 men. They were fired upon, they were in a conflict zone, and they've killed 30 people. I could say, you killed 30 fucking people. Just the sheer number of your evil outweighs, Ted Bundy, who killed a handful of people, right? The issue is, we all know Ted Bundy is far more evil because his purpose in killing people was a deliberate victimization of innocence in order to sate his own sort of personal individual desire. The reason why I don't attribute a greater evil to Israel simply off of the greater numbers is Israel is fighting Hamas, who purposefully makes it impossible to fight them without accepting immense amounts of collateral damage, which again, Israel's conflict against Gazans has met every international standard in terms of military to civilian. They have met and exceeded every modern standard for military to civilian casualty ratios in urban warfare. And yet they are still considered a greater evil because Hamas forces them to attack civilians anytime they want to attack Hamas.
I want to ask you one question, then we'll give it to non-smoker, and then we'll go to Tyler.
One to Katie.
And then
I'll make my answer brief.
Yeah, real quick. I just want to know, like, at what point though, because this is a question I pretty much, I'm not pro-Israel, I'm not pro-Iran. I want to sell guns to everybody. I'm pretty impartial. I don't have it. I don't have a Zionist handler. Nobody's paying.
All right, do your thing. Get there so we can get to non-smoker.
Here's my question. At what point does the number of bodies not matter for it to be like intentional or not? Like, if I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not intentionally killing people, and I fucking wipe out 50,000 people, cool. Yeah, I guess that's one thing. But at some point, that's worse than Ted Bundy, right? It's not. Like, at some point, sheer numbers doesn't become the problem, right?
At the point, no. I don't think at some point sheer numbers becomes a problem. I think once you start to get other evidence that they are not being discriminate in their strikes, like the military to civilian casualty ratio starting to get crazy out of hand, which it is not compared to every modern urban warfare standard. It is not. I think that's where the balance starts to strike, because at the end of the day is what I'm balancing this against, and this is a necessary thing to understand. I'm balancing this against an eternal conflict between Gaza and Israel, which is what will happen if Hamas is now forced to surrender. So I am empathetic to the goal of Hamas having to surrender or this conflict does not cease, because if that is not the case, if there is a ceasefire without the full surrender of Hamas and a stabilized government sponsored by a third party that can maintain that stability isn't achieved by the end of this conflict, this will be a never-ending conflict the same way that it has been since the 1920s. That's what I'm balancing it against, and that is why the sheer numbers, to me, are the short-term trade-off for even bigger numbers later on if this goes on forever.
Yeah, so I'll make it quick, Gibbs, but, so First of all, the numbers question, I'm glad Gibbs asked you, because at a certain level, the numbers of civilians dying, I would argue, is like beyond inexcusable. You know, you say this about civilian to combatant ratio and all that stuff. That's all the Israeli argument. That's the Israeli government and the Israeli military. None of that is confirmable, by the way, by third-party sources. In fact, a lot of third-party analysts estimate it's anything from like 2-to-1 to 7-to-1 civilian combatant ratio. 80% of the casualties could be fucking civilians in Gaza, for all we know. That's some of the estimates that are floating around out there. We won't know till it's all said and done, which is why I say history won't look back fondly on you and this whole discussion we're having here
Hamas
today.
themselves has had to edit down their
but the whole blame game of Hamas, and listen, I'm not trying to say Hamas is good or anything like that.
I know,
they kill civilians too, rape women, whatever horrible atrocities they carry out, inexcusable. But nobody can deny the fact that you say that Hamas is bad, we need to root out Hamas, and we just can't help it that we killed 80%. 80% of the people we killed were civilians, but 20% were Hamas combatants. But, when we go into Lebanon and take out Hezbollah, we do so with surgical precision. We decapitate leadership. We kill, a few civilians, but by and large, we wiped out Hezbollah completely. In Iran, in the first strike, we strategically carried out in such a way that we kill all of these high-ranking scientists. Yes, civilians die, but a majority of the people who die are involved in the IRGC or the nuclear program. But in Gaza, whoopsie-daisy, 80% of the deaths are civilians. Many of them are children, almost 15,000 children.
In Lebanon, 90% of the pagers that blew up were in a dedicated military facility. The things they bombed in Iran were dedicated military facilities. Hamas does not have dedicated military facilities.
There's been airstrikes in Lebanon and in Iran, yet nowhere near the body count. How do you explain that?
Because they, in Lebanon and Iran, they have dedicated military facilities. Hamas purposefully does not have dedicated military facilities. They put their weapons under hospitals, under schools, under high traffic areas, so that this argument is inevitable, so that Israel cannot ever attack them without this coming up.
Do you really think Israeli intelligence, which you think, and a lot of people in this panel think, is so advanced that they know where all the uranium is in Iran, that they know where all of these oppositional forces are located at all times? They could strike them, basically pinpoint out of the sky in airstrikes or drone strikes. But in Gaza, well, we just don't know where anything is. There might be a tank underneath that fucking kindergarten.
No, they do know. The issue is they are usually hitting military
targets. They're going to kill kids.
Yes, because the military should have soared under kids.
Because it's an extermination campaign. That's the point.
Because Hamas purposely puts their shit under children. That's why.
Right,
even when they know where it is, they know they have to hit through civilian areas because Hamas will only put their shit there.
All right. Look, we got those points. Let's go to Tyler, and then we're going to Katie. Go ahead, Tyler.
All right, a few things here. So, Gibbs, I'll get your question first. It depends on intent. It's not about the numbers itself. If you look at like World War II and the Civil War, it was massive amount of casualties per combatant that were killed. And at the end of the day, we justify these winners of the war as the good guys because history is written by the victors. So in Gaza, what we do see is multiple times, including when they went into Rafah after Kamala Harris said she reviewed the maps, what we saw was Israel move more than 1 million Gazans. They relocated them. The only strike that hit them was when they were hitting a Hamas target. There was an explosion of a tanker that blew up, and I think it killed 15 people. And that was the only thing they were hit by. It wasn't a bomb. It was a bomb blowing up a tanker, and the tanker exploding and killing them. So it was unintentional. That was the only deaths and of the people they relocated out of Rafah, which again, at that time was around 1 million people. So it's about that intent. And I heard a claim that maybe potentially 400,000 Gazans have been killed. I just went and looked at the Gaza Health Ministry's census for the year. They're claiming 55,000 people have died, about 10 to 15K are missing, and about 100,000...
And been updated in a year. Give me a fucking break.
They just updated. It says it's updated freshly. And 70,000 people less than a year ago was at 55,000. So they have been updating it, but they said about 100,000 people have fled the country due to the conflict. And they're right now saying their 2025 census, this was from I'll say a month ago maybe, but I'll have to look at the exact date, was about 200,000 people less than before the war started. So there has not been a quarter of their population wiped out. It's looking about 2 to 1.
Dude, there's no final verification on it.
You're correct. That's a lot of people are missing still. They could have also moved. They could have died. But so what we see with Gaza in particular, I know this was about Iran, but this is an Iranian proxy. What we see about Gaza in particular is they will lie. So the Witkoff massacre, I was talking about this a few weeks ago before Prime never invited me back on again. What we say is the IJF and Hamas started shooting at Gazans who were trying to get Israeli food. Hamas went on TV and said, if you take the Israeli food, you will be met with violence from Hamas, their governing force. What we saw was 2 people anonymously went to doctors when they were being treated and said, Israel, do it. Those 2 people's names are not mentioned. They quote the doctors repeating what they said. The next day, Israel released drone footage showing it was Hamas and the IJF. The story fucking disappeared. We never heard the correction come out by almost anybody. It was gone. We caught Hamas executing its own people and blaming fucking the IDF for it. Whereas when the IDF killed 9 people in an ambulance, they not only admitted to it, they also admitted that they lied about the lights being on, and they showed them where they were. This is 2 different entities. One is significantly more evil than the other. Going into the claims about 15,000 kids, Hamas added 15,000 child soldiers to their ranks just since the war has started, and they already had 10,000 before that. They have 25,000 child soldiers fighting for them against Israel. So just saying dead children without bringing that up seems to me like lying by omission to intuition pump. I think that's all I got for right now. I was going to talk about the
Can you just, I'll let Katie go, but can
Yeah.
you post some source that Hamas was guilty of that in the Witkoff massacre? Because that's news
Yeah.
to me.
I can give you the Israeli footage if you'd like.
Want
No,
to
just
bet that the
whatever source
source
you
is
have.
IDF?
I'm sure it is, but I just yeah, go ahead, Katie. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I find it interesting when people do the child soldier thing because they are the same people who would argue that a 17-year-old isn't a child when Israel attacks it and then it's cited as a child death. So it's interesting the weaponization of the term child soldiers whenever it's convenient. I appreciate that. Jeb, at some point, maybe you and I could have a conversation. The notion that Israel has not expressed intentionality for genociding Palestinians in Gaza before October 7th is, I don't know where you got that from. I'm sure that you want to be good faith to Israel. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you're a liberal. Is that an insult to say that to a libertarian? Okay.
I mean, I'm not really liberal, but yeah.
Well,
Okay. Sure. Yeah, so I just want to make sure that it's ridiculous to say that there's no intentionality for Israel, but I guess this panel is just doing that.
Sure. Can I give a quick 30-second argument as to why? Israel repeatedly has given strict and clear terms for the end of this conflict. It is Hamas's surrender and the return of the hostages. Beforehand, it was Hamas's surrender and a government that wouldn't be hostile to them and their ability to maintain security in a transitory period. Palestine has repeatedly refused to ever give clear terms because their intention is to never make peace with Israel. Their intention is to kill all the Jews, and because Hamas's charter
That's
even demands
crazy,
that
bro.
they...
What are you talking about? They want a
Hamas's
state.
charter...
This is
They
my
want a state. They want settlements
My
to stop. They want the blockade to stop.
Hamas's
Your
charter...
bullshit.
time.
Hold on. They've given ideas as to what will get closer.
No, he changed that part of the charter, by the way.
Hold on. They've given ideas as to what will get you closer. Hamas has never said, give us this, this, and this, and the conflict will end. They have never come to the table to agree to a peace based on strict, clear criteria, ever, not once. PLO didn't. Neither did the Palestinian Authority. They won't do it.
So
They don't do it.
Two quick things with that, Jeb. Just because Israel or America comes with clear-cut terms and the terms are just completely unfavorable, that's not a credit to them. You know, if I say
They're not genocidal terms.
I will talk about the genocidal thing. But if I come to sorry if this makes you uncomfortable, but like if you and I are in a relationship and I come to you and I'm like, hey, my deal is you get sex every day if you suck my balls and penis, and that's my clear terms. I don't get credit for having like ridiculous terms at you. You know,
Sure.
that doesn't make me.
And I'm not trying to give them credit for being like ultimately benevolent. What I'm saying is the clear signaling that their goal isn't genocide is that they
agree.
have
I now
a clear
address
and
that.
stated goal, and it isn't genocide. It is just
now
they don't
will
want
address
rockets
that.
being fired into them.
I now will
weekly
address that.
forever.
The reason why I think this argument is horrible is because, as I stated, and I think you are aware that Israel has made statements that are absolutely do indicate genocidal intent. If you want to eliminate that genocidal intent with, if you don't, then that's fine. I'm claiming that they have, and I don't think that if Nazis would have said, you know, if Jews just pack up and leave, that wouldn't make the Holocaust a genocide. I don't think that's a good argument. I think it would still be a genocide even if the Nazis set up clear terms to how to end the conflict.
Do you think the state of Alabama wants to genocide black people? Like the American state of Alabama, officially, their government wants to genocide black people.
Officially, probably not. They're
Okay, no, don't do that. Does the state of Alabama want to genocide black people?
What?
No, generally, no, officially. Do they? Come on.
I guess
Because I can
just
find
make your point, dude.
my point being, I can find countless prior representatives and leaders of Alabama who have said things that indicated their own personal vitriol and desire to eradicate black people from the United States.
Then they do.
They do, but that doesn't
They
mean
do.
the state of Alabama does, right? Israel doesn't.
Dude,
People in
has
Israel
anybody-
don't want to wipe out.
Has anybody at the level of defense minister in the U.S. advocated for the genocide of black people? Has
Not
anyone
not of the
level-
U.S.
Right,
Not of the
right.
U.S., but post-Civil
the
War,
defense minister,
countless-
high-ranking Israeli officials constantly say this kind of stuff.
Okay, Jeb, I hear you, but post-Civil War is post-Civil War. Member of Knesset and prime ministers and ministers of defense and people in the IDF are saying these statements now, when they are in
Clarify the
governance.
statements. Tell me the statements you're specifically referring to, so we can go through
I will
them.
send you a link. How about that?
Well, I'm not telling you that didn't happen. What I'm trying to say is I can get why when someone says a certain thing, you're like, this person is clearly racist toward Palestinians. What I'm trying to say is you need to bridge the gap.
I will send you
Does
the
it
statement.
indicate that
What
the,
about Smotrich?
Does it
I will send you
indicate
the statement.
does it indicate that the state of Israel will not stop until Palestinians are eradicated?
Gibbs, when I find the statements, you're going to have to give me time to read a few of them. Is that acceptable to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a bunch I could just read.
Yeah,
right here.
here's my question.
I've heard them all too.
Yeah,
it's
where-
just
where-
anecdote.
Well, here's my question. Like, where are you going with this? Because I mean, if we're gonna do the statement,
Me or them?
I mean, in general, I feel like we can skip. This. We can
You don't
skip
want to
out-
go statement for statement.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, I feel like if we're gonna do statements, I feel like there's about 6,000 years of fucking history here, and they all want to kill each other. So the idea that
No,
Iran
my aura
and
after
Hamas
October
and Israel
7th.
would all wipe themselves
Yeah.
out.
So but the standard
really I don't feel like a revolutionary concept.
The
They all hate
standard-
each other. Like what
the standard I'm maintaining is, will a given nation state not stop until the other people is completely eradicated? There is one nation state who has been relatively clear that that is the case and has given no clear terms for anything short of that. And the other, on at least an official basis, has not only been clear that that is not the case, but they have given clear and precise terms for how to stop short of it. And so if I'm going to give one credit for not being genocidal and one credit for being genocidal, I'm going to not give the genocidal credit to the one that has given clear non-genocidal terms for the end of a conflict, when the other one has had in their charter a
genocide, my guy.
No, that is not true. They said,
In your opinion?
we will outline a ceasefire agreement where we no longer commit any strikes, and that will be governed by a third-party government who can hold both parties accountable. And we will surrender ourselves to that so long as blank, blank, and blank happen, and none of those include the eradication of Palestinians from the area.
You know the Palestinians are in the
Smoker,
ceasefire discussions right now.
When,
No, you've been talking a lot, Katie, okay? I could jump in too.
Yeah, but they're
This
not
is
giving...
fucked. I mean,
they've
you're
never given like
insisting
a
that
final
they
view.
Look, you don't know what's been given or what's been presented at all of these meetings with Hamas and Israel and the United States. Clearly,
Sure,
there's
okay.
some delegate. By the way, you know,
There's
Israel
no
killed their
evidence.
chief fucking diplomat really early in the war, right?
Sure.
They wiped him out in Iran, in Iranian sovereign territory. But
Well, he wasn't just
putting
the
that
chief
aside-
diplomat, right? Like, there were other reasons to target him in a military strike. Let's be
Yeah, but he
fair.
happened to be their chief diplomat too.
Sure, but
Someone
like...
who would probably be involved in a ceasefire negotiation. No.
Sure, but if we had our chief diplomat, like, initiating strikes in Iran and within striking range of Iran, we couldn't blame them for hitting that guy and then say, well, you're not letting us negotiate. It's like, yeah, well, he is
I
also
think
initiating strikes in Iran and within striking range of Iran. So it's natural that he would be a military target.
Look, if we're being honest here, and I posted it in the Discord chat, there is like ample amounts of evidence that there are lots of people within the Israeli government who view the Palestinians as like an inferior people that need to be wiped out
Certainly.
indiscriminately. And they may say that the terms of a ceasefire are releasing the hostages, many of whom are probably dead, killed by Israeli strikes actually, or the destruction of Hamas, whatever that means. You know, they will put forward terms like that to say, well, we're justified in doing whatever we want to do because you're not agreeing to these terms. And
I mean, if that's the magical, why hasn't Hamas done it? If that's the magical poison pill justification, why wouldn't Hamas just do the same thing?
One of these
publicly state their terms.
Somebody once considered a nuke as an option, and that's on the list. It's fucking hilarious. This is such copium.
Okay, well, don't do that. Listen, I
just considered it. Just considered it. It's on your list.
Laughing at.
It's on your list. That's what you're saying. Somebody once considered a nuke as an option, and that's proof that they want to kill all the Palestinians. It's
how would that not be a proof? How would that not?
Somebody
be proof?
once considered something is now proof that they're pro-genocide.
Dude, Americans are used to nukes not meaning genocidal intent. You know, they're the only ones.
Yeah, I mean, I would say dropping a nuke on Gaza would be genocidal.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody there,
fucking considering it. He doesn't even mean he's for it. They just considered it.
Dude, considering it would mean they're considering killing everybody there. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's not a good option. Okay, my bad for bringing it up.
No,
that's considering.
No, okay, hold on. That's a weird argument. I agree. Considering a nuke on Gaza is considering a genocide of Gazans, 100%. But the fact that the Israeli state took that consideration... I love when people say
stupid shit confidently.
It's such cope.
No, I agree with it. Wait, how is that cope? Gaza's small enough to get genocided by a nuke.
This is who's on your side, Gibb. I hope you know that.
Considering it.
You're a smarter guy than this.
Yeah, but there's people... There's dumb people... There's some people on the other side.
They said they want to kill everyone, and that's a genocide? What the fuck?
Yeah, doing the thing would be bad. Considering
killing everyone isn't killing everyone.
The proof I would say...
Destroy Hamas and its supporters is going to kill all the Palestinians. This shit is just wild. It's like the reason, from 6 people.
Dude.
Yeah, the reason I would say is the fact that Israel has still not done... The fact that Israel... has shelved all of the openly genocidal ideas.
High-ranking government officials, more than 6
And it didn't happen, which means they were outnumbered by the other high-ranking government officials.
Fucking destroying everything in Gaza. They've destroyed 80% of the fucking country.
They've fucked themselves. They've fucked themselves. Because they gave clear, not that crazy terms for all of their strikes having to stop. And so why not fucking own the Israeli genociders?
So do you defend what Russia does in Ukraine and killing civilians and destroying infrastructure? Okay, of course not. But it's not on the Ukrainians who elected Zelensky. It's not on the Ukrainians who supported the Ukrainian government when they carried out a genocide in the Donbass, killing innocent civilians there. I don't even defend Russia. I'm not even trying to defend what Russia did. My point is, by your very logic, you could say that everything Russia does in Ukraine is justified. They should do more.
Here's my distinguishing factor, right?
Because Ukraine's not meeting the peace terms.
No, Ukraine was not volleying rockets into Russia, and there is no clear indication
they were volleying rockets into the Donbass.
The Donbass is part of Ukraine.
The Donbass is occupied territory of Ukraine.
Filled with ethnic Russians.
Russians. They were Russian combatants. They were Russian combatants.
Ukraine is
facts to make a dishonest point. There were Russian combatants fighting them in the Donbass.
Yeah,
you're just ignoring that.
That's my thing. Is Ukraine was not volleying rockets.
They were killing civilians.
Yes, that happens in the
Donbass.
Again, Russian soldiers in the Donbass attacking Ukraine. That's their land.
And they were also killing civilians in the Donbass.
They were also killing
so by your own logic, Russia is justified in invading Ukraine and doing whatever they want to the Ukrainians.
Russia was attacking Ukrainian soil. You fucking moron. They're not the same thing.
If Ukraine
attacked Israel.
If Ukraine was firing rockets into mainland Russia, I would agree. But the issue is, if Gaza was only firing on Israeli security forces that were within Gaza, I would have a much different outlook on this conflict. But October 7th happened.
Okay, but what percentage of people who were killed on October 7th were combatants, and what percentage were civilians? Do you know?
Wasn't it like 1 to 7? 1 to 7 militants.
A vast majority of the people killed were IDF. A vast majority of people killed were IDF.
Security
forces. Not the vast majority of people attacked and
or security forces.
Though.
They were not civilians.
But they purely kidnapped. They purely kidnapped civilians.
Yes,
they did not purely kidnap civilians.
People killed on October 7th were enemy combatants.
I think of the almost 200 people kidnapped, only I think 20 were active IDF.
Okay, people killed on October 7th. You cited October 7th.
Yeah, right.
So
okay.
of the people killed on October 7th, what percentage were civilians? What percentage were combatants?
I couldn't
I'm
tell you
not
off the top of my head.
certain, but I think
Okay,
the point you're making
Google it.
is.
Someone look it up for me.
But I think the point you're making, right, is that it seems as though Gazans did a good job of targeting IDF soldiers, and where I would disagree with you is I've seen videos of Gazan soldiers shooting into porta potties at a music festival.
Yeah, but the Ukrainian government
think IDF
killed
people were
ethnic
there?
Russian civilians. The Ukrainian government killed ethnic Russian civilians.
That happened.
While attacking insurgent groups on their own soil.
Yeah, Russia broke the Minsk Accord. The Minsk Accords were signed in September of 2014. By January of 2014, Russia was conquering land in Ukraine.
Yeah, they were trying to occupy the Donetsk and Luhansk.
You're ignoring, in the Donbass, you moron.
Let's go to Katie here. Let's reframe this a little bit. We'll go back to wherever we're going. Go back to the Mideast. We're talking about Russia and
Stop listening to Aaron Mate. He's an idiot.
Okay, whatever. We're gonna
You're
go,
an
Katie.
idiot. You don't think nuclear war constituted a genocide?
Well, go ahead, Katie.
A consideration, you moron.
Wait,
you're lying. You can't stop lying.
Speaking about genocide, they must not want a genocide.
All right. I don't want to mute people again, but we will. Katie, go ahead.
First of all, I'll say something that I know will flare up some people, but then you let me make my second point.
Oh, good.
So,
I'm so happy.
my first point is that you guys are like the Donbass is occupied Ukrainian land, so Ukraine has Gibbs. So Ukraine has the right to shoot it. Israel is occupied Palestinian land, so Palestinians has a right to shoot it. Okay, Gibb, I wanted to ask you something.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll respond to both when you're done.
The porter potty thing, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to gauge here because, for example, we have evidence of American military intentionally targeting civilians in some instances, but you wouldn't be willing to say that the American military is targeting civilians. You would say these are individual cases of agents that were in the military going rogue. But with Hamas, you're not willing to engage in this behavior at all.
Well, because there are differences, right? So if the United States launched their attack on Iran at a music festival full of civilians as opposed to nuclear sites full of nuclear scientists and military, I would absolutely say that the United States at large is targeting civilians. They targeted a civilian. Israel has discrete military infrastructure. Hamas does not, right? So when Hamas attacks Israel, they have a choice. Attack discrete military infrastructure or attack discrete civilian infrastructure. They almost unilaterally choose to attack discrete civilian infrastructure, right? So while the ratio, it looks like 68% were civilians on October 7th, right?
A lot of things are being said, but they're not true. So I mean, they're not. So I understand that you think
was the Nova Music Festival discrete military infrastructure?
The Nova Music Festival was something that Hamas didn't know about because it wasn't planned to be there.
Okay, so I want to ask again: was it?
You're welcome. I'll send you them.
Was the land that the Nova Music Festival was on? Well, I'll give you that credit then. Was that discrete military infrastructure?
No, but I don't know if you know this.
So the attack was on non-discrete military infrastructure.
But Gaza is surrounded by civilian infrastructure because that's literally an Israeli strategy to prevent Palestinians from doing anything. Would you like me to link you the Wikipedia pages for every single one of the places that Hamas attacked that are settlements that are meant to help the IDF in those posts?
Does Israel... Sorry, so... Israel's discrete military infrastructure. Are you?
What do you mean by discrete? I'm sorry.
Discrete meaning it means like separate from non-military infrastructure.
Okay, because I only know discrete as in secret, so I didn't.
Discrete meaning like dedicated, right? Like Israel has dedicated military bases, dedicated airstrike base, right? None of that was the Nova Music Festival. So you come in your hang glider, and you have a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're saying, what it sounds like you're arguing is their intended target was military infrastructure, but the Nova Music Festival was in the way and they didn't know. The issue is...
I think it's a bit more complicated than that.
They're going over the Nova Music Festival, and they have a choice. Start shooting into the Nova Music Festival or continue toward our military objective in the discrete military infrastructure. It seems like not only did they not at all even go near any discrete military infrastructure, they seemingly solely attacked the Nova Music Festival, and the only military members that they killed were either ones who were doing security at the music festival or ones who chased them back into Gaza to get the hostages back.
I will now respond to you, okay? So, the issue that I have with your entire analysis is that you simply don't understand that Israel involves a lot of their civilian structure with their IDF structure. Things are not as discrete as you claim they are. This is
I need a citation for that because I know of military bases that
later.
civilians are not allowed onto, right?
Okay.
They operate similar to Western forces where they have military bases where civilians without military IDs are not allowed, active military IDs. So former conscripts aren't even allowed on these bases. If you don't have an active military ID, you cannot get onto discrete
No, I'm not talking about the military bases. I'm talking about that one of the settlements that was attacked, the civilian settlement, has a parking lot for military infrastructure in it. So what I'm saying is not that civilians aren't allowed on military targets. I'm saying that what you think is civilian infrastructure is actually supporting the IDF in many different facets.
And I'm asking, how was the Nova Music Festival land doing that?
I need to clarify something.
Okay.
Because you said this. I do not think that Hamas simply intend to target military infrastructure. That is ludicrous. That is not true. Hamas has made it very clear. Their intent was to come in, collect as many hostages as they could, and run back and use them as bargaining chips. You know?
Yeah, they wanted to attack civilians specifically. Yes.
Some of them got to military forces, and some of them did harm civilians. So I'm not under an illusion here that there was just an attempt. There was an attempt to gather as many people as possible, civilians
specifically.
IDF, whatever.
No, they targeted specifically a civilian event when they did it.
They didn't target it, they came across it, and then they shot people.
And then they they must have completely decided that wherever they were going to go was not important because the entire, 90% concentration of all combat happened at the Nova Music Festival or the Gazan side of the border just outside of it because they went into the Nova Music Festival, killed and grabbed and raped as many people in that immediate vicinity as possible.
I would like a citation on that rape thing.
We're going to reframe
I need to respond to that.
All right,
it's true.
Hold on.
Don't be a rape denialist. Come on.
We're going to reframe this now.
I don't think you know a single shit about the rape accusations in Israel. If you meant, if you want,
eyewitness testimony. First-hand testimony. You can report. You're incorrectly citing.
Stop. All right, we're going to reframe this though because I do have one more Iran question.
No, I need to respond.
No, we're moving on to the other Iran. Back to that Iran topic. I want to. Hold on. No, you can do it later. I want to hear about if we do go in further, and we do get regime change going into Iran. What do we think is going to be the fallout if we actually take out the Ayatollah, or somebody takes out the Ayatollah?
Non-smoker are going to start a new political party against that very thing. That's what's going to happen if we do that.
Sure,
we do not need to do that.
Absolutely. I have a detailed answer.
All right, good. Go ahead. Take us there. I don't trust you, Katie. You're going to go back to this other question. We're moving on.
Iran will balkanize. It'll balkanize into these little tiny statelets that are based on primarily national identity. There will be a Baloch state. There will be a Kurdish state. There will be various other states throughout Iran. And I think that the region will descend into chaos when ISIS Khorasan, which is heavily active in Iran and the rest of Central Asia, takes a foothold and eventually probably secures control of most of that region. I think it will be horrible for the Middle East in general, other than for Israel, because Israel actually does benefit from a bunch of little chaotic statelets being the only actors around them. They have a really good intelligence service. They can protect themselves from terror attacks. They don't really have to worry about that. Where that will impact the rest of the world is places like Russia, throughout the rest of Central Asia, where this group will gain a greater foothold and therefore more power. Similar sort of to what happened in Syria, where, as you guys probably would debate with me, but it's obvious to me that HTS, which currently runs Syria, is basically just a splinter off of ISIS, and they've carried out massacres in Syria since taking power there, but they also allow Israel to use its airspace to refuel their jets when they carry out airstrikes in Iran. So I think that that's probably what would happen.
All right, Katie. Don't go back to the other thing.
Hi. I don't want to derail Gibbs' stream, and I think the conversation about Iran in the context of American imperialism is not what I care about doing. So I will take my leave now and explain to my chat all the ways in which Jeb was wrong. And maybe Jeb can watch the VOD, and maybe we could talk about it at some point. Tyler, I will send you my video about the UN report. And yeah, so
I'll see you a couple citations privately as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for jumping on.
Thanks for joining us. It's been a feeling there.
And Smoker.
Later, Katie.
Yep.
Go check her out, guys. All right, yeah. So, what are y'all's thoughts here on this? Do y'all think I'm actually curious about this? When you say balkanize, I originally was under that assumption as well, non-smoker, and I find this kind of topic really interesting. I'm not sure that's what would happen. Like, I first I thought that was the more likely scenario. Now, after like further diving into it, I think maybe they would lose portions of the country in some regard. Like the Taliban could easily take over a portion. I know maybe the Kurds would try to like do something with the autonomous region in Iraq. I know Turkey would have a shit fit about that. But I think the rest of it has a pretty strong national cultural identity. It's not like a lot of countries where they don't have that. I think that might play a role. What do y'all think? What about the rest of y'all?
I mean, I think there's robust support, and this might just be. I'll admit to potential bias here. I live in an area with a lot of Iranian Americans, but Iranian Americans are disproportionately refugees of the current Iranian regime, so they are obviously going to overrepresent resistance to the regime. That being said, my perception is that there's a lot of robust support for a new regime in Iran, like a more sort of, I guess, like modern Saudi, Middle East liberal regime, like where women can drive and shit. I think there would be enough support, like enough unified support for a regime for them not to balkanize. But like I said, I think people talk too much in 0 and 100% chances. It's all going to be a percentage chance. I would put it maybe at 60, given my limited expertise, that like 60 to 70% chance that there'd be enough unified support for Iran not to break up into different areas. But I don't think it's ridiculous to worry about a balkanized Iran being taken over by rebel groups. I mean, you have a lot of centralized rebel support because Iran is the funder of most rebel groups. So it would make sense that there would be also a lot of support for, terror groups to take over.
So we're talking about the instance where Ayatollah Khomeini's killed and they go into a power vacuum situation, like the military doesn't step in and make sure there's an election. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
okay.
I guess the military stepping in could be a possibility, but we have the regime change. We don't have that top military brass.
I think with what happened in Egypt, there's a good chance that the military would take over and then host their own military-style election, and that's kind of where Egypt is right now. But if that is off the table, I would say the likelihood of balkanization probably would happen. I don't see the Persians to be the most violent group of people there. I could see, like in Syria, the group backed by Turkey and Qatar, they might have they just took a country. They could, those nations backed by Turkey and Qatar could take more. I could also see a lot of the Iran proxies that are out there that are kind of being driven out of their country. Like right now, Lebanon, the Lebanese army is working with Israel to force them out of Hezbollah out of South Lebanon. What if Hezbollah and some of these proxies moved into Iran proper and joined this situation? I think the Kurds are fucked first and foremost, and they need to get the fuck out of there if this collapses. But that's a fucking powder keg I would not like to see happen, because I got no love or hate for Israel. I just, Western hegemony and all that is where I'm standing. I don't want to see more. I don't want that. I don't think Trump wants that either. But yeah, it would break out into chaos, absolutely. And I don't think the Persians, I think you'd see mass slaughter of Persians.
Interesting.
Can I just point out to everybody that this was essentially Israel's stated goal in both Lebanon and Syria? And this has been something that the Israeli political intelligentsia or the political elite have advocated for decades. There's lots of documented evidence on this. But they've argued that both Syria and Lebanon should break down into little balkanized statelets. And the reason they prefer that, Israel prefers that, is because then there's less strategic opposition to Israel's presence as a great power, and I think that is the goal of Israel. And I also think it represents the political ethnic reality on the ground in Iran. I posted that map in the chat, is a very ethnically diverse state outside of the Persian majority. And there's these little ethnic conclaves which have been hotbeds of anti-regime activity, specifically in the Baloch community in southeast Iran, advocating for a Balochistan, the Kurds, as was previously mentioned. But, can anyone answer for the growing influence that would occur of ISIS-K? I mean, I don't see how, even whether or not Iran breaks into little statelets or not, I totally think that the next, or one of the most powerful groups in Iran might be, a terrorist organization. It's not that big of a leap to say that.
I think the X factor, I think, would be like, if we were to engage in regime change, it would likely be for the purpose in sponsoring a regime that it kind of plays ball, at least with our Middle East proxies like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And so I think the Saudi Arabia and the UAE would be able to provide enough support and enough incentive financially and trade-wise to get, again, to create unified support for a state that's not constantly sanctioned and can participate as a normal Middle Eastern nation on the world stage.
Look at Syria. Syria's collapsed into a Salafist regime, and Salafist terrorists have the support of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
they're about to join the Abraham Accords. We just dropped our sanctions against them like 3 days ago.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Is that's why I don't support regime change, because ultimately regime change
it'd be a fucking disaster.
Not just that, but it's just it's inherently limited by whatever your goals are for regime change. So, like you mentioned, like we're about to drop sanctions on a terrorist regime simply because they meet our 2 goals for the regime change, which was work with our Middle Eastern proxies and don't try to kill Israel. But they're still a terrorist group to other people, and so they might be able to join the Abraham Accords. And like
that's why Alawites.
That's why terrorists, so you win. Then you're the government.
Yeah, that's why I don't support regime change.
That's true. They're massacring fucking people, the Alawites on the coast, and Assad supporters and all that stuff. The same kind of shit would happen if ISIS-K took a big foothold in Iran. They would kill ethnic minorities. They would impose Sharia law, and look, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I think we can Jeb and I at least agree regime change is bad, and I think that the only thing we'd accomplish in that is definitely dismantling the Iranian nuclear program, which is a limited benefit to us. Iran's nukes don't even really threaten the continental U.S. anyway.
Yeah, because they need high CBMs as well. Yeah. I guess the fear is just like, right, if they're unified with Russia and China and North Korea is Russia, then North Korea with ICBM technology that they claim to have could give it to Iran. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's too abstracted to.
Let me push back just a tiny bit on that, not to get to a whole Russia thing.
Sure.
Look, Russia and Iran's relationship, I think, has a very good chance of being severed without us having to fight Iran or anything like that. It looks like the Russians were and obviously they don't want a conflict with America directly, but Russia has pretty sympathetic views towards Israel. There's 2 million ethnic Russians living in Israel. Netanyahu was invited to the May Day parade.
Yeah, they backed out pretty fast in all this.
They even said to the, they made numerous public statements that, like, hey, Iran didn't want an air defense agreement with us. We're not obliged to provide air defense to them. They don't, and don't think that the Iranians forgot that. I mean, they were basically, left to their own devices when push came to shove. Whatever. I don't want to get into that, but I've had a long theory on my show that part of Trump's calculus in appeasing Putin is to pull him away from Iran, but that's a whole nother argument.
I went the other way with I went because Russia has a nuke and we can't do to them what we did to Iran. We know, well, we don't know, but we have a very good idea that our CIA was also involved in the overthrowing of Syria. And on top of that, this giant hit to Iran. Iran is one of the top providers of weapons to Russia, and they're one of the top providers of energy to China. We know hurting Iran and hurting their exports and hurting their attempts on the world stage and sanctioning them, making them broke, hurts the 2 people that are really considered the top enemies of the U.S. Russia couldn't even step in and defend its proxy in Syria. They're completely bogged down right now with the Ukrainian war, and it's just not going that well based on what it looked like. This is speculation, but what it looked like Putin's goal was in the first week, fucking driving tanks right into Kyiv, and they got stuck in the mud and blown up. So, like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I kind of feel like this is depowering their allies to make them feel isolated on the world stage.
Well, look, guys, not to cut all this off. I've been streaming almost 4 hours.
Yeah,
My
it's
fiance
perfect.
telling me I'm yelling too much,
It's
so
perfect
I gotta
timing. I was
run.
going to say that. Yeah, you want to give an outro? Let's get outros real quick, and then we'll get out of here right now. It's what I need to leave as well. I got some insanity to get part of. Go ahead.
It just got chill, and we finally started actually discussing things and not yelling over each other. And I just started enjoying it, and everyone wants to quit.
Listen, bitch, wrap it up. What's your? Give me your outro.
Israel wins. Everyone that disagreed with me is wrong, and follow me on Twitter and Twitch and all that fun shit, and give me money.
All right, fantastic, Jet Dad.
Yeah, no, I think we had a decent conversation. I think I laid out my points pretty clearly. But I'm empathetic to the views on the evils of Israel. For me, it's balanced against intentionality and what it means for the future. Israel's intentionality shows me that the idea is, higher short-term costs for longer-term peace. But I understand why non-smoker disagrees with that. And if you agree with me, don't shit on non-smoker, because I think he's been pretty honest and pretty good faith throughout the conversation. So,
all right, non-smoker, go ahead.
Yeah, twitch.tv/non_smoker. Catch me over there. Catch me on x.com/non-smoker. The 2 O's are zeros. Always like talking to Gibbs and Jeb. You're a gentleman, and Tyler, you're okay too. Yeah, anytime 1v1, 2v1, 3v1, whatever you want to do it again, I'm down.
Fantastic, appreciate it, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. It's been a good one. All right.
Yep.
All right, boys. We're gonna raid out to a hot e-girl. That's what we're gonna do here. So y'all make sure y'all say hi. Living the dream. Let's do it.